so we can keep on dancing. I didn't think that I would ever see your face again, but I was wrong. I can't believe we're dancing in the street. All I ever wanted was to get close to you. Now I'm burning in your atmosphere. I can't feel my feet while we're dancing in the street in the neon light with the musical reveal to the
Thank you for watching the After Files live stream. This is not a professional production. We don't know why anyone watches this thing, but we're glad you do. And now, to kick off the show is everyone's favorite sidekick, the one, the only, Hecklefish.
That's good. Is this not hello? It's working.
Can't hear you.
Won't you tip me? You know I don't believe you when you say you don't got money. Won't you tip me? You know I can't believe it when you say that I'm not funny. I write too many jokes just to amuse you folks. You better super chat me or I'll just keep singing. Won't you tip me? Won't you tip me? Oh. Won't you tip me, human? Won't you me? Whoa.
There's going to be technical difficulties. You know how I fixed it? Unplugged it and plugged it back in. And setting up the stream, there were problems. And I expect there will be more. But, you know, that's what makes this a professional.
This live stream is a mess. You should be ashamed of yourself. Shame on you.
Who's here? I see Psychonauts here. Lamborghini Robert Stevens is there. Sasquatch Bill, good to see you. The joys of streaming is right. Michael Kim is a human. Won't you tip him, human? William Runner says the moon landing is fake. Yeah, so what I was saying is everyone's has an opinion on this. Some of them are very strong. And look, I said that we probably landed on the moon. I didn't say definitely. There's a lot of sketchy stuff. So people were asking about the Van Allen belts. How did they get through them? Well, the official word is the astronauts zipped through the Van Allen belts very quickly in under an hour. And the radiations that's there, the particles, are pretty spread apart. So they're high energy, they're high voltage, but that would be if they're condensed when they're so spread apart. Apparently not dangerous. Look, that's the official word. I'm not saying that's what happened. That's the official word. All right, what do we got on private chat? Gino Story Hour picks. All right, good. Those are coming 1 minute before airtime. Perfect. And we got some super chat starred. Nice. Joey Overbeck is here. All right, so fake or not fake? Sire Lord, what's happening on the moon? I was actually going to include a couple of chapters about what I think is up there and some of the photo evidence and some testimony, but the episode was already way too long, so we'll do it in a second one, in a follow up. Brooke Page says, "I'm not sure." Yeah, I'm not 100% sure either. Austin Lambert liked the episode. Good. Brad, I see you. And can I'm out of focus? It's just the camera's slow on the autofocus. If I'm out of focus, just wait a second. J. Tim would love to see a collab with me and Sean Ryan's channel. So that's the thing is, I'm not the UFO guy. I just like the stories. So with if there's an interesting UFO UAP story happening, I'll read it. I'll check it out. But for the most part, the topic suggestions come from you guys. So to collab with Sean Ryan would be him talking and me going, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that either. So I don't know how interesting that would be. Hunger Nerd looks fake AF. Capricorn 1 was the government telling us something. Abe is here. I see you. The chat's going fast. I don't know. Jenny, did you put on slow mode? She says yes. Okay. All right. Derek wants the moon follow-up. We're going to do that. Lisa Lap, hi, I see you. We're going to do the follow-up, Derek. I didn't want to do it right after this one. Next week, we're doing a UFO story. It's a light one. It's an easy one. It's a fun story. It's like a sorbet. It's a palate cleanser between these two. Between this week's and then the episode after that's kind of heavy. So we got to clean the palate. Little aperitif. Rob Collins, did you hit 50K on it? I think we hit 56, 57. Victoria says 57. Jen says higher than that. She says 59,000. That sounds like a lot. I think we should just all get together. All 59,000 of us should just get together for the next one. There's a drive-in a couple of miles from here. I inquired about renting out one of the screens for a night, which they do. And it's like $400. So I think we get the drive-in screen. We premiere the episode up there, and we could all just, hey, we should be able to get 59,000 of us in that parking lot. NZT Win at Skinwalker Ranch episode. That's coming up. That episode is coming up. I'm going to debunk a lot of that. Not all of it, but a lot of it. The P-Hat alien party at AJ's house. No, I don't think so. If anything, we would watch the episode at the drive-in, and then after party would be at Victoria's. But no, I'm not known for entertaining folks. Regular guy, Van Allen belt. Yeah, they were in the Van Allen belt for under an hour, and they just kind of zipped up to the moon through there. That's the official story. And look, like I said in the episode, do I believe it 100%? I do not. But I believe a lot of it. And look, there were, and when I'm building an episode like that, the first 2/3 is the conspiracy, the theory, whatever you want to call it. And then the last third is debunking as much as I can. But in those two sections, and I'll admit this, I will I will cherry pick the information to make the case for those sections. So if I've got 3 videos and one of them is like really wacky and out there and supports what I'm talking about and the other 2 aren't as strong, I'll use the wacky one and then I'll save the other 2 for later. So for things like the backdrops not lining up, the official word is they don't line up because the pictures were taken far apart. They look the same because they're the same mountains. Yes, I got all of that. Now in post-production, I was able to get them to line up. I was able to get them to line up perfectly, but I couldn't put that in that part. Then it doesn't support what I'm saying, but I got them to line up. It looked perfect to me. So that one's a little sketchy. There are a couple of parts of the story that are like, I don't know how they do that. But I really think the big story is why nobody went back. And we'll get into that in the next episode. Well, Chaz Fink met Buzz Aldrin, and he's an honest man. I don't doubt that he is, but is his loyalty to your conversation or to the oath he took to his government? You know, I'm not saying it could be both. He comes across as honest, but he took an oath. Juan Pablo, we covered the radiation belts. Dixon Bus, you should do a video on the Rothschilds or George Soros. Yeah, that's not going to happen. You can't do that on YouTube. They love those 2 families on YouTube. We can maybe do something like that for Patreon or for Rumble, but we couldn't do that on YouTube. I mean, you know who keeps the lights on here? Rick Mandel. Neil never talked about it after the mission. He didn't give many interviews, but he did give some. You know, Sabrell stalked him too, chased him around with a Bible. Sinister wants more secret society shows. Yeah, I like those too. I think I have one coming up that I think you're going to like. I'm trying to stay away from the Bohemian Grove, the Masons, things that you already know so much about, trying to find a couple of secret societies that are kind of less well known and that can get through the algorithm. I mean, I expect this video to be demonetized before we're done here tonight. But, we'll see. Wonder Jane, can you do an episode on reincarnation? We have one of those coming up, reincarnation, so past lives, but also one of my favorite topics is the life between lives. So that'll be in there as well. So near-death experience, life between lives, reincarnation. We're going to wrap those up into one story for you, and I think you'll enjoy it. The best episodes are the ones that, at least in my opinion, are the topics that are really interesting and fun to me, like this one. I love moon theories. There are some episodes that I'm not so thrilled about, and I feel like I can see it in the performance. Maybe not. Richard Bramlett dropping good plugs. Limited edition Kubrick shirt. Let's see. We have that. Is that the one? Is that the shirt of the week? I can't zoom in on it. There we go. So every week, every episode gets its own shirt. They're up there just for limited time, I think 2 weeks. So you can get that at shop.thewildfiles.com. So it's a great way to support the channel. And we do our best to keep the prices low on those. So shop.thewildfiles.com. Or another good way to support the channel is through Patreon. For as little as $3 a month, you get all kinds of perks. And you get to see the episodes early and without any commercials. So no YouTube commercials, but also no of the sponsor ads. Although I think the sponsor ads are fun. Did you guys, did you see that tonight? Gertie made a return. It's always good to see Gertie there as a snow camel. What, if anything, asking, where is Gino's Story Hour t-shirt? That is a good question. It's a good question. Victoria says it's coming. James MB209, do the Titanic conspiracies. That episode is actually written. I haven't recorded it yet, but that one is written. We were going to put it out there, and then there was some Titanic was in the news. I heard they told me that there's something about Titanic in the news, but I don't remember what it was. Kevin, how about what's at the bottom of the Marianas Trench? I mean, that'd be a good episode, but I guess the answer is nobody knows, right? David Mesa, new record 59K. Yeah. Mac, what do you think the moon was being used for in the past? Who was there before? That's so speculative, Mac. The best theories, and by the best, I mean like the most fun theories, is that that the moon has been mined by ancient civilizations, and that's why I don't know if you saw the Hollow Moon episode that we did, which is one of my favorites. Might be my favorite. That's the one episode that turned me from a skeptic to a believer on that particular conspiracy theory. How the rock and the soil on the surface of the moon is actually older than the rock underneath. You know what I'm saying? Like the deeper you go, the younger the soil gets, which is hard to explain unless you're mining or setting off charges that brings that old rock up. But, you know, the counter argument is that's it, you know, impacts do that. Thanks, Tim Peterson, for supporting the channel. I appreciate that. Northwoods Jen wants more Moonbell. Kennedy and Lincoln parallels. That's one of my favorite coincidence stories, Ivan. If you look at the channel on the shorts page, is one of the first shorts that I ever did, is all those conspiracies between JFK and Abraham Lincoln. They're super fun. Matt Hunt, asteroid impacts would cause that. Yep, that's true. Mr. Beats' moon was brought here by aliens. That's certainly another theory. And could be. You see that they have discovered, or at least they're theorizing, that the universe is much, much older than was originally thought. Something like 25 billion years or more. Michael Kim, enjoy the episode. Appreciate that. Trevor Parks, AJ, I thought you said the moon rang like a bell. Yeah, that's one of the clues for hollow moon theories that they look to, is they detonated seismic charges, and the moon and the sound, like the sound waves, reverberated in the moon for a couple of hours, and then they did a larger test, and it reverberated for hours and hours. I think it could have been a whole day if I remember correctly. And what was strange, and again, it's all theory, but what was strange was the sound waves, like sound waves on Earth, as they moved through the Earth, they slowed down, which would make sense. On the moon, they did not slow down. They just kept on cooking. Rock doesn't want to look at AJ shorts. I understand that. That's reasonable. Polar Jack likes the channel. Appreciate that. Dabby Doop, Joel Straight Down. Purple Shadows Moon Spaceship. Yeah, that's one of the theories, is that it was brought here. You know, I don't want to rehash the whole episode, the whole Hollow Moon episode, because I cover all this stuff. But that is one of the theories, is that it was brought here because the moon is more of a planetoid than a moon. Like, we've never found any other planet with a moon this large and this close. Not in this solar system, not in any solar system. It's absolutely unique in the universe so far. So it's really a planetoid, that we're in a 2-planet system. And I get into the math and the science of it, how the center of gravity is kind of weird. Johnny, radiation belts. Yeah, I covered that early. They zip through the Van Allen belts fast. Is why. $1893 World's Fair. All right, we could check that out. All right, so tonight we've got Gino Story Hour, of course, and I wanted to talk a little bit about time loops and glitches in the Matrix. If you're into that, there was a crazy video. I don't know if you saw it. It was zipping around Twitter the last day or so, of a guy freaking out on a plane, because that's the thing that happens now. And he's freaking out and saying that he's in this is the sixth loop that he's been through. And he's on the plane, and it keeps crashing. He keeps dying, and he keeps coming back. And now he's in the loop again, and he's screaming at everyone, call your families. We're going down. And what was funny is people, half of the plane was like, this guy's nuts. And the other half of the plane were calling their families. So he said he was in a time loop. Riley Rube wants to talk about time loops. So I started pulling up just some fun glitch in the matrix stories from Reddit and from other places that that I find interesting, that if you want to check out, like people who like feel like there's someone missing from their family and it's just a feeling they can't get over, or someone who at a particular moment feels themselves dying, like in a car accident or something, and just sort of snaps out of it. There are a few stories like that that are fun, that kind of, give me the chills. Jack Barnes says Hot for Teacher is a great Van Allen tune. Yeah, that was a good one. Was that off 1984? That's a great album from Van Allen. Antoine's in a loop. All right, I hope you enjoy that. Bell wants to hear Glitch in the Matrix stories. Cool. Mike T says, let's do the time loop again. It's just a jump to the left. And then you step to the right. You put your hands on your hips. You bring your knees in tight. You do the pelvic thrust. Supreme, are you going to watch Oppenheimer? I will watch that, but I don't want to go to a theater. Please don't make me. But I'll watch that on streaming. Draco, the time loops after an NDE is truer than you would believe. I believe it. Rebecca says that that guy was going through a psychosis. He clearly had schizophrenia. That could explain a lot of it, but it doesn't change how I feel about the stories. I like the stories. That's why I say, I don't want to be the alien guy. I don't want to be the Göbekli Tepe guy, the UFO guy. I don't want to be that guy. I just like the stories. Worminator rules. That's true. Breaches likes the Van Halen belt. Johnny Patterson says Elvis is everywhere, man. That was another good tune. He's in everything. But Elvis is not in Michael J. Fox, if you remember. Michael J. Fox has no Elvis in him. Yeah, the girls don't know what I'm talking about. No. Someone out there knows that song. Rom, how about a video on suppressed inventions? That's a good idea. We've got one coming up about the doctor who cured cancer and then had a rash of bad luck. Kirk, what are they mining? That's a good question. I mean, if I had to guess, I would say helium-3, but I don't really know. I don't really know what they need. Heath Holloway, how high is AJ right now? Not very, slightly, but not very. I mean, I'm not chemically altered. Not yet. That's after the show ends, when all that happens. Socrates says they're mining human souls. We have an episode coming up on the soul recycler, which is a crazy story. That's a dark one. Rob Collins thinks helium-3 would be a start. Yeah. Mark Bishop, can you do one on the craziness of Stephen Greer? I don't know if I want to do that. I try not to attack people, even if I disagree with them. And I'm not saying I disagree with Dr. Greer. I mean, I have my issues with him just as far as the amount of money he charges for stuff. And that might not even be fair. I just get suspicious when people charge thousands and thousands of dollars for dubious things. Like with his, you could pay him thousands of dollars and he will teach you how to telepathically communicate with aliens, which nobody has done thus far, which might surprise you. So, and I'm not saying that that's not a thing. Maybe it's totally a thing. People say that you can do that, but it doesn't sound that legit to me. So to charge thousands of dollars for that makes me suspicious. But I'm not going to accuse him of anything. His defenders have said, that money's for the foundation. He doesn't really keep a lot of that. It's to keep his research going, and that's fine. His research needs to be funded. Mr. Kennedy B, Ingo Swan. I don't know if you're just saying his name. If you're asking for an episode about Ingo, there is one. Did a full episode on Ingo Swan. He's a very interesting guy. And that episode was actually approved by the Ingo Swan Foundation. So his family liked it. So that was a good one. I think there's been a few episodes that I've done with, like, Ingo Swann is one, the Monroe Institute is another, where these are foundations that find the episode, that watch them. And at least so far, all those groups have approved of the stories I'm telling. I think it's because I'm respectful. Even when I'm suspicious or skeptical, I'm respectful, which, is something that some of my Twitter followers can learn to be. Look, if you disagree, just be respectful about it. Because I had just one tweet up this week just about being suspicious of the UFO stuff and Lou Elizondo. And oh my God, what a shitstorm that went on for like 2 hours until finally I just told everyone in the thread, which was hundreds of people, and they were attacking me from both sides, that I'm a shill. This one's in my ear. That one's in my ear. I'm funded by the CIA. Like no one could figure out which side I was on, because I just said, I'm skeptical of anyone of military intelligence people. I'm skeptical of them. And then everybody went crazy. Till I finally said, look, everyone in this thread, dear everyone, get your last words in now, because this has devolved into Twitter and I'm going to delete this thread. I just need one person to give me a second. So that way it's a decision. That we made. I got a second and I deleted it. And then people got angry. Why did you delete the tweet? I deleted the tweet because it became very Twitter. And that's how it always goes, right? You get 4 or 5 responses in, and then it just devolves into, ugh, why though? Why so passionate? Strange theology, you are right to be skeptical. You should always be. Guitar, you are appreciated as well. Guitar Hurricane, thanks for being here. Aleister Crowley, I would like to cover him, but he would not get through the algorithm because he has a lot of sexual deviancy, which I can say on the live stream, but you can't really say that in a video. Jim L. Thor, anyone call you Hitler? No, we didn't get that far yet. That's what I forget what rule that is, where it's at some number of responses or time before someone's called Hitler. We didn't get that far, but I felt it coming, because what was crazy is I said I'm skeptical of military intelligence, and I was attacked by both sides, by people, by hardcore believers in UFOs and stuff that believe everything, and then hardcore doubters who think it's all nonsense. I was the enemy of both sides, for no reason. Aces Cafe, World Trade Building 7 is a very strange story that I can't cover on YouTube. Ed Thacker, douchebags on Twitter. No way. Yeah, it was sad. It was sad because a lot of the crazy people were Wi-Fi's followers. So it was like, oh man, there's anger under there. I didn't see it before. Saltine 76, AJ is literally Hitler. Reincarnated? Probably not. Paul Bob Lazar, question mark. I don't know what you mean. If you're asking for an episode, probably not. He's been covered way too much. If you're asking if I believe him, I did not. I believe him a little bit more and more. The more whistleblower stuff I read, the more information floats around. I believe him more and more, but I'm still, I don't know. Skepticism beats naivete all day long, says Northwoods Jen. Yeah, I think skepticism is good, because as long as your skepticism comes from, I just want to know the truth, because that's what mine is. That's the motto for the channel is, yeah, I like the stories, but I want to know the truth, because especially in the comments, just ruthlessly attacked all day, as from both sides, but from believers who say that I'm ruining their favorite story, or they want to rebut everything in the video That's debunking. They have responses to all of that. And I say, look, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying, here's the information I found. Here's information that supports the story. Here's information that rebuts the story. You decide. My job is not to convince or persuade. That's not why I'm here. That's not what this is. That was the argument on Twitter. Look, you guys, Keith, leave me out. I'm not trying to persuade you. I'm an entertainer. I talk to a fish. You can't listen to what I have to say. I'm half an idiot. Johnny Patterson likes red-haired giants. Yep, that was a couple of weeks ago. We covered those. Okay, Charles of Gosford Glyphs. We talked about those a little bit as well. Brendan Vierk, what conspiracies do you believe in? I believe in quite a few of them. You know, I'm suspicious of the moon for sure. But it's hard to say. There's been quite a few conspiracies of late that turned out to be true that I believed from the beginning. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Rogue RR, you killed my conspiracy. Yeah, I get that a lot. Sorry about that. Do you want me to just tell you the conspiracy, or do you want to know what's true about it? Isn't it that much more fun? If you can debunk 99% of the story, that makes the 1% more fun, I think. And it doesn't have to detract from liking the story. Like there's a Burr Toast. Love the Denver airport vid. So that's one of my favorite conspiracies too. But I don't think there's that much to it. There's a little to it. But most of the stories about like the Masons and all that, I don't believe any of that stuff. But that doesn't stop me from enjoying the story. Yeah, Brandon Flores, adrenochrome. I mean, come on, man. YouTube would never allow it. It would never allow it. I mean, there's movies out there about child trafficking that YouTube doesn't want you to talk about. Mainstream movies. Trevor Parks, what's on the North Pole, though? Not much. It's what's on the South Pole that we got to get into. What's in Antarctica? Amp, are you a Mason? If you're talking to me, I'm not a Mason. I don't think if I would be accepted if I applied. Is that how you get it? Do you apply? Do you fill out an app? I don't know how you get in there. Or do you give a blood test? I don't know how it works. You know, I know Masons, and they're totally normal. But my initial reaction to Masonry is eyes wide shut. That's what I think of. And they're like, oh, we have so few sex parties. Like there's very rarely is there ever a sex party. Like twice a year. 14 Ace Window. I'd love to talk about BlackRock. No can do. No BlackRock, no Vanguard. Brad Allman, you have to ask a Mason to join. Well, you know, if you're an antisocial recluse, as I am, why would you join that? Why would you want to be that? Well, because you could be part of a community. You lost me at community. I don't need to be a part of that. Zach Balloon is interested in sex party conspiracies. Kevin Aycock, when are you going to do an episode about the recent things supposedly found recently in Antarctica? Now, Kevin, you see how your question is tricky. You'd have to send something to the tips line or email me. But an episode about recent things supposedly found. So are they found? If things are found, I would do an episode on that. If they're supposedly found, then I need more information. But there's weird stuff going on down there. There's a lot of good conspiracies about Antarctica. Okay, AccuRocks, I see you. Oh my God, you're excited? In the Transformers. Okay, this is going to be good. Hang on. In the Transformers, Buzz Aldrin is in this movie where they discover a spaceship on the moon, and he accepted to be in this film. Was that with Optimus Prime? Is that where he did this? Pulsar Echo says, no sex parties. Yeah, I'll check the next cult. So that's his big draw. All right, let's do a couple of super chats, and then we'll see what's going on with the gang. I see a couple of folks down there, a couple of smiling faces. Let's see who looks tired. Victoria looks tired. Yeah. Jen looks kind of tired. But Gino's ready to go. Thumbs up. Quantum Sledgehammer, thank you for the tip.
That's the good stuff.
If NASA were to fake any kind of landing, they'd have to know eventually other nations would visit the site. And wouldn't Russia or China love to prove Apollo was fake? Talk about national embarrassment. That's true. Look up, Google when you have a moment, what percentage of Russians think that the moon landing was fake? You might be surprised to know that the number is higher than here. So during the Cold War, that was something that was told to people that it was fake. Ron Klotzer for $5. AJ, stop messing with my mind. It's messed up already. Sorry about that, Ron. I'm just trying to help your life, trying to improve your life. Jeff Wallace is there. I would take a punch in the face to know what Buzz really saw up there. 24 men went to the moon, and they have some weird stories. Love you guys. Yeah, Jeff, it'd be worth a punch in the face to know what's going on up there, because there's more. Kiki's here. My favorite episode yet. How did NASA deal with the radiation problem? So the Van Allen belts, it's high energy particles, high speed particles. They're definitely dangerous, but they have to be concentrated, and you have to sit in the belt for a long time, which they didn't do. They were flying 25,000 miles an hour. They zipped through the belts in less than an hour, and they went through one of the parts of the belts where the energy was the lowest, and they did get irradiated, but it was the same amount that you would get with an X-ray, or lower than an X-ray. That's how they did it. That's the story that NASA tells you how they did it. Ed Kriegorn says, loved it. Thanks, Ed. Appreciate that. Glad you're out there. Transylvanian 90s there for $5 Canadian. One other argument that debunks the conspiracy: the Soviets had the means to see the Apollo 11 site and expose NASA's lie, yet they kept the secret. Yeah, you would think that they were aware of what was going on, and that if they could prove that it was fake, that they definitely would have done that. Captain America's there. Hey, Cap, great show tonight. Highest viewer count I saw was 59,773. I think that was it. I don't think we got much higher than that. We didn't hit 60. But I'm glad you're out there. There is Nancy J, $50.
Human, I want you to know I said human. Thank you for all the dough. Tipping, as I'm sure you will find, always is a good time. Ooh, it's fun to tip the FISH. It's fun to tip the FISH.
Did you guys work out that dance yet? Not yet?
Yeah. A little bit.
All right, so what's the F?
What's the F?
That's the F? Why is Victoria's F backwards? Is that the Cyrillic F?
Yeah.
And what's the I? Straight up. And the S? Like an Egyptian. Okay. And then the H is a touchdown.
Do I have to do this?
No, I wasn't asking you because you don't do the dance. You do this. That's how you do it. Jen, what's going on with you? Can we have a studio update? Do we have a new studio yet?
Lots going on. Lots and lots going on. The painters are done. So they're gone. And then we are now decorating the individual offices.
Someone's saying they see a crab cat behind you. Is that true? I don't know if it's a crab. I think it might just be a standard regular cat.
It's a regular cat. And he sat in my lap the entire episode. He's missed us being home.
He misses it.
And we're getting lots and lots of deliveries every day, just deliveries.
And Victoria, what's
So-
new with you? Are you working out of the new studio?
I am. We're there every day at 8 and putting together stuff and whatever Miss Jen does.
All right. And Gino's there every day at 8?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I
Soon.
think I've seen Gino at 8.
Where is Gino tonight?
Undisclosed. Sorry, I'm
It's-
under,
All right. 1K subscriber challenge. We please need a Bigfoot episode. Do you really? I don't want to, though. I don't want to do. I don't like to do cryptid episodes. So coming up, what is Gino's story hour tonight?
I actually switched it last minute.
Well, last minute is how you roll. What is it going to be tonight? This is in broadcasting. This is called a pre-sell.
Tonight we're going to be talking about the Van Meter visitor.
Did he say the band leader?
Van Meter.
The Van Meter.
Yes. Sorry, is my mic off right now?
It's fine. I hear you.
I'll switch it to a different one.
I mean, I can't really
Van-
hear him, but I'm sure it's fine. Nancy J says, super show tonight, AJ and crew. Already got my shirts. You can
Yay!
get one of these shirts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this what is the nicest shirt we have? What's the best one?
Oh, that's so
I'm wearing the Heckle Cult.
Yeah, that's an exclusive for mods.
subjective. I'm wearing the conspiracy theory tee.
And I'm the White House
Wow.
University.
Okay. That one's probably my favorite, though, the Fear the Crab Cap.
Yeah, that's your
I
favorite.
like the Mel's Hole one.
Everyone likes Mel's Hole.
Everyone
Mel's
likes
Hole
Mel's
was very
Hole.
popular.
And the camp T-shirt is popular.
Yes, I'm also very partial to Camp Greenfoot T-shirt.
And everybody got one of these, right?
The moon landing was fake.
So you can get those shopped at thewildfiles.com. Grab one soon so you can be in the first batch. Trish says that Fear the Crab Hat is her favorite too. I got mine for my birthday last month. Happy birthday, Trish Pinkert Branner. Gino went to work on his Philosopher's Stone. Yeah, that's possible. Sean Joseph, anyone know how much radiation and type the Apollo astronauts were exposed to outbound and inbound? I don't know off the top of my head, but I think it was a little over 1 rad. But I have to double check that. It wasn't enough to be dangerous, allegedly.
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 Okay.
And what episode do we have coming up next week?
We have the Zimbabwe alien landing.
Zimbabwe UFO story. All right.
Yep.
Bean, you differ on this one. I love that story.
Gina loves it. All right. There's 37 custom toys for $37.
And Yahtzee! Thanks for supporting the channel, human.
Moon episodes are the best. Thank you, Wi Files team, for making my Thursdays the best night of the week. Love you all. Isn't that nice?
That's awesome.
And who's tired besides Victoria? You are. You're tired. Gino's fine.
I'm
I've been
tired.
working hard.
What, has Victoria been busy the last couple of weeks or no?
Oh, yeah.
Just a little.
There's Mr. Peckerwood.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Great
Thank you, human.
Great episode. Need to follow up about the moon. Even Hecklefish is over talking on this show. Can't get it synced up. More money for the Guppy Mama Fund. Need the follow up. Yeah, the follow up is coming. It's one of my favorite topics. The picture evidence from the moon is crazy. Now, a lot of it is subjective, pareidolia, but there's definitely stuff up there that's strange. And if you're into moon stuff, we've got the Hollow Moon episode. We've also got the alleged spacecraft that was found on the moon, which I used a couple of images from in tonight's episode. But it's crazy. It definitely looks like a artificial object up there.
Yeah, because it just doesn't make any sense to me why we never went back.
Me either.
Why'd we not go back?
But ever since China got there, then suddenly it's interesting again. And now that helium-3 could be used for fuel, there's Eric. No comment. Just.
You $5 more and you get a private dance.
Yes, you
Ooh.
do, Eric. The thing is, it comes from Victoria. Nope.
No.
And there's West Easy for $20. Amazing video. You almost had me convinced the moon landing was fake, but got to see the follow-up on Dark Side of the Moon bases. Yeah, what Carl Wolf talked about was pretty crazy. That he saw the photos of the mushroom cities and all of that, and but he did not live to tell the story.
Nuts.
He was hit by a car before he could testify.
Of course.
A lot of people hit by cars.
A lot of whistleblowers come down with a case of falling out windows or crossing the wrong way in the street or eating their pistol or all kinds of bad luck.
Yeah.
As Buzz Darkin is back for $10. Great episode. Fenrir the Mastiff really wants to learn more about the stuff they are hiding on the moon. So do I. In researching the episode, I just was reading heartbreaking stuff about Laika. You guys know who Laika is here on the crew? You know Laika? Laika's the first animal they put into space. The Russians put Laika up there. She's a national hero. There's statues to Laika. And she was basically tortured for the past few days of her life. Can I tell you quickly, because it'll help me heal? Because I was upset reading about her. Because there was an official story about Laika for 50 years. And then more recently, they were like, no, that was just kind of PR story. So she's a dog, right? She's just a dog. So they put her on the rocket, right? And you've seen like the images, the video of people getting ready to launch in the moon, what that's like in a rocket. Right. It's loud and it's crazy. And she's a dog, so she doesn't understand. Well, there was a malfunction in the rocket and so they couldn't launch. It took them 3 days to fix it. And they just left her in there, feeding her through the hole, and she couldn't move. She couldn't walk. She was just in the rocket for 3 days while they fixed it. And then the Broken Stiletto thinks it's sad. Yeah, it is. Chris Satterfield doesn't want me to tell the sad story.
It's disgusting.
Kelsey's muting until the dog suffering ends. I'll give you a high, Kelsey, when it ends, because it's not over yet. So she goes up there, but they knew that she wasn't coming back. She didn't belong to anyone. She was like a stray dog. Good girl. And so people were naturally upset about it. And they were like, no, she's going up there, but she's got, poison in her dog food. So she'll eat and she'll pass away. And that's it. I'm almost done, Kelsey. Well, that's not what happened. There was a malfunction in there that the heating and the ventilation in the capsule failed, and she slowly suffocated and burned over the course of hours. Super, super sad. Yeah, I'm sorry. Story's over. Kelsey, that's your high sign. But I needed to share it because I was upset. Like, I'm not telling the story because it's fun. I'm telling it because it was upsetting.
That's
Don Abelson
horrible.
wants a moment of silence for Laika. That was a good call, Don. Nicely done. Antisocial's muted. We're back. We're back. Yeah, I needed to share it. Internet overdose. Do a story on how AJ got Jen. It's kind of the other way around.
Hey.
What? It's kind of the other way around. What? You don't like that, right?
I did wink at you first.
You were very aggressive in your pursuit of our courtship. There is J for $4.99. Nothing. Would love to see a collab with you and Sean Ryan's channel. Yeah, Jay. The thing is, I'm not a UFO guy, so it would just be Sean talking and me nodding. Kind of like when Jen and I do this show. It would just be one person giving information and the other just reacting.
What?
Because I react to the information you give is what I mean.
That's not what you mean.
So yeah, I don't want to be the UFO guy. Is that okay? Just tell stories. But I appreciate the support, Jay. It really helps. Spencer's there. Spencer Corpus, $5. Best episode yet. What's up with this destroyed technology, though? Right? That's it. And he's an astronaut. I mean, some of those videos are, I mean, that was such a sketchy thing for him to say. We destroyed the technology and we don't know how to recreate it. What? Now, I used that clip because it was so outrageous. I would need to research it to see the full context of it. Who knows? Maybe there's more to it. But that was sketchy.
I feel like that's the commonly accepted reason where you haven't gone back, because we destroyed the technology.
That's how could that even be right?
But why?
Well,
But how?
Video. We also destroyed the video. So,
right. So that's not a conspiracy. That really happened. That the high quality landing tapes, the telemetry, all of that was recorded on magnetic tape, and due to budget cuts and budget restrictions, NASA would reuse their tapes over and over. So they recorded over the Apollo 11 tapes. They're just recorded over. Now NASA says NASA says it wasn't intentional. It's, they're all labeled with a certain code, and whoever was going in the archives probably didn't know the code, and they just grabbed the wrong ones, and they're super sorry, and they won't happen again.
Now, didn't you record some Star Trek over someone's wedding tape at one point?
I don't remember whose wedding it was. I think it might have been my stepsister, that they went to go watch her wedding tape, and instead it was Next Generation. They're awful lights.
That happened. That happened.
TNG was TNG was way more interesting than her wedding. No one would dispute that. Picard is way more fun than that wedding. And look, if you're watching, Lisa, I'm sorry, but it's true.
Wow.
There's JP for $9.99.
Boom shakalaka. Thank you for the tip.
Happy late birthday to Chelsea O. She's the best for putting me onto the show. Please do an episode about what they found on the moon. Is Crab Cat on the moon? I think Crab Cat would need a helmet. Maybe we could do an astronaut helmet for him. We could probably get that to work, right?
Believe it, people. Believe it, people.
So he comes with his own tinfoil hat, by the way. So you don't have to buy that. That's not extra. That comes with it. Oh, Daily Life is looking for a coffee plug.
Well, if you'd like to get some coffee, you can get it at cavemancoffeeco.com. Look for Java. What's the name of our Java 51?
Done?
Yes.
Oh, it's still going.
Use Wi-Fi's promo code and get yourself some Java 51. I messed this whole setup up. I didn't know it was coming.
You've done it smoother. That wasn't the smoothest ever.
All right, guys, you got to buy some coffee so it doesn't seem like I screwed it up. I'm going to get fired here.
Well, he's got to pay us first before you get fired. There's Yellow Umbrella Homebrew. Great episode. I firmly believe we did not make it to the moon in '69. Yep, fair enough. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue that we did. I tried to give as much as I could. Both sides. You're armed with information now. It gets gritty. How did they sort the Van Allen belt? Jen, you want to explain that to them? Because I've already done it 5 times. Go ahead.
The radiation in the Van Allen belt is very, very intense, but it has to be super concentrated. So in the Van Allen belt, it's very spread out, and you would have to spend a lot of time in there. And so they shot them through a light area of
She finished? Oh, she's still going? Okay.
radiation, and they were there for less than an hour, according to the official story. So they did get some radiation, but it was less than like an X-ray.
Yeah, so what's fun is they were going through the Van Allen belt actually for less time than Jen's explanation of it. So I think that's
Good one.
I'm joking, of course. I think you did a great job.
You know, I'm decorating and furnishing your office, so you might want to be a little bit nicer to me.
Oh. Well, see who's paying the bills. And we've got led the game dev for $10. Hey man, nice shades. Love the way you're moving the channel forward. I'm trying, but those three really help moving it forward. I just sit in a chair and talk to a fish. There's the heart of the channel up there. Ciara Martinez for $10. Love the episode. Very, very interesting. Love you guys. Keep up the great work, bud. Thanks, man. Thanks for supporting. And Sean Fan for $10.
Booyah! That's the stuff.
Hey, AJ, Jen, Gino, and Victoria, have you guys heard how every U.S. president is related to King John of Plantagenet except for Martin Van Buren? P.S. Yes, we need a full episode on moon structures.
Oh.
I was just doing super chats so we can get to the 1 hour mark. Do your giveaway. Then I'll let you guys go, and then we can do some glitch stories, some alternate reality stories. Then we'll come back from that. We'll do a Gino story hour, do some super chats, and we'll call her a day.
Sounds good.
So, what's the word, Officer Bird?
Matt Hunt says it needs to be nice beaver. You could do, yeah. I don't know if it'll go through though.
Well, I mean, why? It's just a furry water animal.
It is. It's a water animal.
All right, so here's how it works. If you're new, what you do is you type the word you see on the screen, just the word that you see. Nice beaver, no space, just nice beaver. And we'll do a drawing, and someone will be randomly chosen, and you'll win. What do they win this week?
They win a Hecklefish plushie. Yay!
What are these?
Would you kindly fetch my tinfoil head?
All right, so that's your word. Nice beaver is your word. Thank you. I just had it stuffed.
Nice beaver, nice beaver.
Here's and you got to give Barra credit for that joke. He wrote that joke. I won't take credit for that joke. Sam Richardson's there. I interviewed Bart Zabrell twice on Thresholds of Reality. Van Allen Belt still undefeated. Yeah. There's Paul for $20.
Ooh, thank you, human. You made my dorsal fin tingle.
His alphabetical order of Patreon's temporary or permanent. I'll still support the channel, but I donate $1,000 a month to Patreon to stay on top of the list, says Paul. Paul, you were on the top of the list. The alphabet. We do the top 10 patrons, of which you're the top of the list, and then everyone in alphabetical order. There is Thomas for $10. You don't succeed at faking one moon landing, then do 5 more. Every aspect of the conspiracy theory has explanations that debunk it. Not hard to find those explanations either, says Thomas M. There you go.
Can I just say we could have still went there, but for the moon landing, it still could have been faked on that day, on July 20th, 1969. A phone call to the president from the moon. I remember how telephones work. We didn't have no cord to the moon.
Well, and they do have, they do show, we have photos that NASA admitted that they faked of the astronauts like in space because they missed it or something. They couldn't find the photos. So if you're going to fake one thing, what else have you faked?
Oh, great. Now I have to spend the rest of the day with that in my brain. Thanks a lot.
Black canvas shaved beaver is not correct. That's not going to work. Laughs me wants a nice beaver shirt.
Nice beaver, nice beaver. Oh, a beaver in like the Tony Romero, like the white suit with the black collar. That would be fantastic.
MC Franklin, Winona's Big Brown Beaver is not correct, but it was a good song. Jennifer
Saturday Night Fever.
Too young for that. Zeb Francis, Iced Beaver would that will not work. Sorry, Beaver Cleaver is wrong. See a beaver, no. Nice beaver's hard to find, that's true, but that will not work. Spicy beaver, no. Smelly beaver is gross. Noise beaver. Brian Maxwell Primus is the correct answer.
Ni hao. Bye.
Say again?
I just deleted somebody for saying something gross.
All right. Rice Stealer is wrong. Angry Beavers will not work. Van Allen Beaver is incorrect. Pricey Beaver is wrong. Also depends on where you go.
They
Not
used to
Beaver.
make imitation vanilla from the excretion of beaver anal glands.
Yeah.
That's a true story.
Gino's Beaver Fever is incorrect. Mike Seaver was wrong, but he was a good character. Polite Platypus is almost right. All right, whom do we have? There's Don Alexander for 5 Canadian. You guys do a great job. Keep it up. We're trying, man. All right, we're at 1,300 for Nice Beaver. Should we give her a spin?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Get your beaver in the chat. You put your beaver in, you put your beaver out. Put your beaver in. Check it all about. Here we go.
No.
There's Rich, Amy, Josh, Lan, David, Jesse, Scott, Brutal Ray, Tabitha, Mitchell, David Zoso, Chuck, Drew Pitts, Adam Stank, Scott Ruse. Based Karen is the winner.
Yay!
Based Karen's a Nice Beaver winner.
Awesome.
So what does she have to do to get Victoria's number?
Come to Discord and put in a help desk ticket, and I'll get your name and email, and we'll get it to you.
Yay!
All right, one last super chat, and then we'll get into some glitchy stories. There is Biker Dog Adventure for $50.
They see me swimming in my waist. Send me money cause you know that my bowl is dirty. Cause you know my bowl is dirty. Cause you know my bowl is dirty. Wanna smell my bowl, it's dirty. Come and sniff my bowl, it's dirty. My poop is nasty. It's floating. Please tip me cause you know that my bowl is dirty. Cause you know my bowl is dirty. Cause you know my bowl is dirty. Wanna smell my
That's it?
Great show. I would you teach me all the technical stuff? Absolutely. Absolutely would. Is that here? All right. You guys take a look at this and then I'll let you go. This was on a Gina, did you see this today? The guy in the plane?
I haven't seen this yet.
Okay. So for those who don't speak Mandarin, I will read the subtitles. All right. So people screaming on a plane. And the guy says, what are they doing? So there's people just standing up in the aisle going, what happened? Someone opened the security door. You hear him screaming? He says they are Hollow Earth inhabitants. This time is his 6th loop. Please open the door for me. People just have their phones out. Excuse me, sorry. Running up, going to get it. Why are you so afraid? He asked her. Doesn't matter. Police are here. Why are you afraid? So many people are here. Man screaming, "The accident is going to happen. Urgently call your family." He said the same disaster will happen as Malaysia airline MH370. So scared. Cabin crew comfort radio. Tell guests don't be afraid. If you guys are waiting for death, life reset. Don't you guys want a life reset? You're slaves. You spend your whole life working for slavery. I ain't effing working for them.
These are two different people talking, yelling at each other.
Is that? I can't really tell. So yeah, so he's in his sixth loop. The plane did not go down, but people were pretty scared. I'd be scared if someone just got up and started screaming like that.
Yeah.
They're trying to keep us off air flights.
They're trying. Something's up with airplanes lately, man.
Right. At least it's not Americans again.
Did you see all those people that like had to be taken to the hospital from that flight in Vegas where they left people on the tarmac for like 4 or 5 hours with no AC and
no bathroom breaks?
No bathroom breaks?
Yep.
Oh, just take me back to the good old days where United would just shame people for their outfits.
Those were the days.
Wow.
Those were the days, my friend.
Yeah, people just soiling their seats.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Passing out, and bring in medics. It was awful.
Well, I'm sure Pete Buttigieg will take care of it. Don't worry about that. He's going to be fine. All right, I'll let you guys go. And we'll see you back here for a Gino Story Hour. There they go. All right, we're gonna do some weird glitchy stories that I just find interesting and weird. If that's not your thing, then I'll see you. Come back in about an hour. All right, so most of these are from the Glitch in the Matrix sub on Reddit, which is it's definitely a fun subreddit to read. Just don't do it alone at night. All right, this story is called "I Died Last Night, but I'm Still Here." So I may have to paraphrase some of these because the language is not suitable for families, or sometimes it's just the stories are kind of clunky and weird, and sometimes they go on too long. So I will blast through some of those. I died last night, but I'm still here. So this actually happened last week. It just took me some time to come to terms with it. I got a phone call from my next door neighbor late in the evening asking if I can help him move a mattress into his upstairs. His mom is ill and has a big, heavy sleep number bed. I, of course, ran over to help because they're great neighbors. I get over there, and his friend, who is also a priest, was there to help. I helped them figure out how to separate the mattress from the bed so we can fit it up the stairs. We get it all moved up and back in place when my neighbors asks if I can help them move an armoire upstairs too. I think nothing of it, and we pull it out of his travel trailer and start bringing it up the front stairs of his house. This is where I died. The front stairs are 11 steps. I was on the lower end of the armoire, about 6 steps up, when my neighbor and his friend lose a handle in the armoire and it comes crashing down on me and I fall backwards toward the pavement. I then wake up in my dining room to my phone ringing and my wife asking me if I'm going to answer the phone. And it's my neighbor asking me if I can help him move a bed upstairs for his mom. So I go over there and meet this priest friend again. And this has been the first time that I met him. I say, I can help you with the bed, but I can't help with the armoire. My neighbor was like, how'd you know about the armoire? I then proceeded to tell him I'm pretty sure I just died. I spent the next hour talking with the priest. He had so many questions. My neighbor didn't believe it until I described the upstairs bedroom in perfect detail, down to the metal mattress frame on the floor and the intricate headboard leaning against the wall. I had never been upstairs in their house before. The priest asked what I saw after I died. I told him I never actually died. Before it happened, I woke up at my dining room table. TLDR, explained my death, but woke up about 20 minutes earlier in my life. So there's a few of these stories on there about people at the moment of death waking up a few minutes or hours, earlier, who aren't Tom Cruise. It seems to be a common story that you see. And we're going to see a few of those tonight. This one is creepy. A parallel life. Awoken by a lamp. My last semester at a certain college, I was assaulted by a football player for walking where he was trying to drive. Note, he was 325 pounds. I was 120 pounds. While unconscious on the ground, I lived a different life. I met a wonderful young lady. She made my heart skip and my face red. I pursued her for months and dispatched a few jerk boyfriends before I finally won her over. After 2 years, we got married, and almost immediately, she bore me a daughter. I had a great job, and my wife didn't have to work outside of the house. And when my daughter was 2, she, my wife, bore me a son. And my son was the joy of my life. I'd walk into his room every morning before I left for work and doted on him and my daughter. One day, while sitting on the couch, I noticed that the perspective of the lamp was odd, like inverted. It was still in 3D, but just wrong. It was a square lamp base, red with gold trim on 4 legs, and had a white square shade. I was transfixed. I couldn't look away from it. I stayed up all night staring at it. The next morning, I didn't go to work. Something was just not right about that lamp. I stopped eating. I left the couch only to use the bathroom at first. Soon I stopped that too, as I wasn't eating or drinking. I stared at the effing lamp for 3 days before my wife got really worried. She had someone come and try to talk to me, but by this time, my cognizance was breaking up and my wife was freaking out. She took the kids to her mother's house just before I had my epiphany. The lamp is not real. The house is not real. My wife, my kids, none of that is real. The last 10 years of my life are not effing real. The lamp started to grow wider and deeper. It was still inverted dimensions. It took up my entire perspective, and all I could see was red. I heard voices, screams, all kinds of weird noises, and I became aware of pain, a shit ton of pain. The first words I said were, "I'm missing teeth," and opened my eyes. I was laying on my back on the sidewalk surrounded by people that I didn't know, and lots were freaking out. I was completely confused. At some point, a cop scooped me up, dragged me across the sidewalk and grass, and threw me face down on the back of a cop car, and I was still confused. I was taken to the hospital by the cop. Seems he didn't want to wait for the ambulance to arrive, and given CT scans. I went through about 3 years of horror depression. I was grieving the loss of my wife and children and dealing with the knowledge that they never existed. I was scared that I was going insane as I would cry myself to sleep, hoping I would see her in my dreams. I never have, but sometimes I see my son, usually just a glimpse out of my peripheral vision. He's perpetually 5 years old, and I can never hear what he says. That one is called A Parallel Life, Woken by a Lamp. It's like a plot of some movies, but that's a story that you hear, is that some people go into comas and they can live, or at least in their mind, live a long, long time. And I think the movie Inception kind of touched on that a little bit, where in your dreams, time moves much, much faster. So you can experience a lot in a dream. I mean, we've all had those dreams where, at least I have, where you feel like you're living hours, days, weeks. And then you wake up and it's like, whoa, that was weird. That felt real. This one's called My Dad's Gut Feeling. It's a short one. Some of these are. My dad's gut feeling. I was 17 at the time, and me and my dad had just finished our fishing trip, and it was almost midnight, mid-fall. When I was about to get in the car, he told me that he did not want me to sit in the front seat on the ride home. We argued about it for 5 minutes, and he did not give a good reason to why he did not want me to. I gave up and got in the back seat. It was pitch black outside. When we had been driving on the main road for about 2 minutes, we saw a car driving in our lane. Right as we were about to collide, my dad swerved into the other lane, and so did the car in front of us. I heard my dad say, "I knew it," at the very last second, and then I blacked out. Woke up when police showed up at the scene. They helped me out of the car. I was barely conscious and don't remember much after that. Only thing that is still crystal clear memory is that I saw my dad sitting in the car waving at me with tears in his eyes. When I later asked where my dad was, I was told that was thrown out of the car window and landed only a few feet from the car and passed away later in the ambulance. I was told the man we crashed with died on impact and also had a 17-year-old daughter in the back seat who survived. I still can't believe this really happened. That was 6 years ago. Glitches in the Matrix. This is a quick one. This is a short one. I felt myself die in another timeline. My mom and I were on the highway driving home, and there was a semi-truck in the lane next to us. Suddenly, the semi swerved into our lane. Luckily, my mom was able to get out of the way before it hit us, but soon after, I began feeling strangely. The entire right side of my face felt hot and sticky. I tasted blood and smelled the very pungent scent of gasoline. Then my head and right arm started to ache really badly, and I couldn't feel my legs. Just as soon as the pain started to worsen, it went away, replaced with a cold, eerie chill. I told my mom about this, and she couldn't come up with an explanation. I think I was feeling the pain in another timeline where my mom wasn't able to avoid that semi. I see this story a lot, and in the comments, there's a lot of people had the similar feelings. Or this person says, I once had an overwhelming amount of grief come over me. It hurt so much I thought I was having the weirdest panic attack. A few hours later, I found out my friend had just gotten in a bad car accident. He was fine, but his car was totaled. I felt like he didn't make it in another timeline. Never told anyone because I felt ridiculous. So I see that a lot, where people feel like they're dying, they're dead, a loved one is dead, and even though they know intellectually that they're alive, that they're okay, they can't shake the feeling. It just feels too real. You know, there's that concept of quantum immortality, where if you die in one timeline, you're shifted into another for whatever reason. Maybe why that story keeps coming up. And this person thinks they just became the background character for another person's glitch. This technically happened last night, but I was just starting a graveyard shift and I'm only now getting it all down. I work at a gas station chain with only numbers in its name. We're just outside a large chunk of suburbs, none of that middle of nowhere. Like, we aren't exactly near any other businesses, but we are rarely completely dead for hours at a time. It was just past midnight, and with everything going on in the US right now, this is COVID, a lot of other things going on right now, a lot of other than gas stations and bars are open at night anymore, so it was a slow evening. The writing in these isn't perfect. I'm doing the best I can. I was the only one in the store, and a car pulled up to one of the two double-sided pumps out front. Pretty standard white four-door. I'm not great with car brands, but it was a little nicer, like upper middle class, and probably only a few years old. A woman gets out and starts walking toward our door like she's in a daze. Legit, this woman looked like she saw a ghost. She wanders up, sort of freezes at the door for a second with a 1,000-yard stare before opening it and coming in. She didn't go looking for anything, didn't start shopping, just sort of stood inside for what felt like ages. Again, bars are still open, so I think maybe she's a little drunk or had a rough night or something. So I give the usual welcome to the gas station, let me know if you need any help. She finally notices me and immediately asks me the weirdest damn question I've ever been asked on the job. You can see me, right? Yeah, like what else do you say? She breaks down crying in the middle of my store, so I'm already headed around the corner to see what's up. I have my cell phone out in case I need to call the cops or something for her. I get her to sit down on a nearby pallet of soda, and I'm grabbing her a bottle of water after she catches her breath a little, and she tells me I thought I had died. Again, I'm thinking maybe she's on something, but she's a middle-aged woman who looks like a standard local suburban housewife. We're a pretty boring township without your average junkies like you'd find closer to the cities. So she asks if she can call her husband to pick her up and wait with me. She has her own phone and does so, not really telling him anything either, just where she's at and if he can come get her. He says he'll call an Uber and be there as soon as possible. We're waiting. So far, nobody else showed up. So I'm keeping most of my attention on her. And eventually she starts to explain to me. I was driving home from dinner with my coworkers. And as I'm driving through a nearby intersection, a truck ran a red light and hit me. Now, her car is still at the pump without a scratch on it. And she goes on to say she remembers her car being pushed into a pole, going airborne, and then nothing. I tried to calm her down, letting her know that her car is out front and looks fine. But she insisted that she completely blacked out, woke up in an ambulance for a split second, passed out again, then woke up in the driver's seat of her car at the intersection, waiting for the light to change, perfectly fine. This whole thing freaked her out so badly that she drove to the nearest anything just so she can get out of the car. Husband eventually showed up to get her. He asked if I had any idea what happened, and even though she sort of explained it to me, I just shrugged because no, I had no idea what was happening anymore. She reluctantly got into the passenger seat of the car, and he drove them back home. That was hours ago, after which I worked an entire shift at the gas station trying to wrap my head around what the absolute hell I had just witnessed. This person says that's quantum immortality. The poor lady, the truck, and then the ambulance sounds terrible. What happens when you get to old age in the quantum immortality theory is a good question. Natural death results on rebirth from a new mother, but still you in a you universe. You are many ages. When you die, you slide to the closest parallel that matches your own. It's usually only changing something so subtle you rarely notice. Can you elaborate further? A common theme in quantum theory is anything that can happen does. When you consider what this means in the context of living and dying, a fatal situation can end with you either alive or dead. If every possible outcome literally does happen, then you will always experience the result where you live. That's true. No matter how ludicrously unlikely, if there's a non-zero chance of surviving, then you always do, from your point of view. From your point of view, the world around you does whatever crazy contortions it must to ensure your continued point of view. Quantum immortality gets its name from the idea that it may be impossible to die from your own point of view, no matter how hard you try. That's an interesting way to look at it. All right, that's a near-death experience. We can cover that in a minute if you want to. Meeting our son before he was born. So this happened about 7 or 8 years ago. My husband and I were laying in the bed one night watching television. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a child in the doorway of our bedroom. Thinking it was our only child at the time, I tapped my hubby and said, "Hey, shh, look, I think Connor is going to try and scare us." He turns and looks, and this child walked into our room. I can't explain it because it was one of those moments that seemed somehow different. We watched in silence, soon realizing that this child was not our son. He toddles in, head slightly tilted back, curls bouncing, and diapers squishing as he goes to the end of our bed. We see his head go down like he was crouching, and when we got up to look, he was gone. I looked at my husband and said, "Did we just see a ghost?" Then, almost as an afterthought, I said, "Well, we know if we have another baby and he has curls, that he was here before he was born." We both laughed because we're not trying for another baby at that time. Fascinated, we go to check on our son, and he was fast asleep. Well, a few months later, I'm pregnant. Surprise. So fast forward, and our new baby Liam is 2. He toddles into the room, head tilted slightly back and curls bouncing. And it hit me like a bucket of ice water. Holy crap, this is the baby that came to visit us. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind. Now, on top of that, whenever Liam is staying the night elsewhere, like with my parents, he comes to visit me in my sleep. For example, one time he came and just smiled at me while I was taking a nap. He was in a little red shirt and his hair was cut short. The next day I go to pick the kids up from mom, and lo and behold, his hair is freshly shorn and he's wearing a little red shirt. I asked my mom, did he wear this yesterday? And she replies, oh yeah, he did, but he insisted on wearing it today, so he is. So I look at him and say, did you go see Mama yesterday in Mama's dreams? And he looked at me, he was 4, all big blue eyes and serious, and nodded his head. If you've got your own glitch stories, send them in. A lot of scratch and chills. Yeah, all of these pretty much hit me in one way or another. Bomb Beastie wants an episode on consciousness. That's a tough one to do. That's a big ask. Streamer services, remote viewing. Yeah, it could be. I mean, it could be an accidental astral projection, like Lisa just said. Yeah. Bad Luck thinks it's Damien. Yeah, I mean, there's a creepy factor to it as well. Apollo Mandos with Reddit, I assume it's all creepypasta stories. I think it's okay to assume that. I kind of do as well. But remember our motto, I don't have to believe any of the stories. I just like them. This one's he thinks we both died. I'd like to preface this by saying my husband is an electrical engineer and I'm a teacher. We're not crazy people. So back when my husband and I were dating, my husband was in a terrible car crash. His truck hit black ice and he slid into oncoming traffic. His truck was completely totaled. So was the other truck he hit. The weird thing is, though, both he and the other guy were completely fine. Not a scratch on them. All my husband had was a bruise on his knee. The first responders were baffled, as was the towing company and insurance, when they realized no one had died or was severely injured. Fast forward to a few days after the crash. My husband comes over to my apartment. We're having a conversation about a university class we're both in, and he casually asks when I got the flat screen TV sitting in my dresser. Now, at this point, I'm very confused because I've had the little flat screen since I was 13 and had it the entire year and a bit we'd been dating. I asked him what he's talking about, as I've always had that TV. He told me to quit pulling his leg and asked what I did with the old tube TV. I had no idea what he's talking about and told him so. He's convinced I had a tube TV. I proceeded to get on Facebook and showed him a picture we had taken 2 weeks prior with the TV in the background. It's a flat screen in the picture. My husband goes white like he's seen a ghost and just stares into space for a minute. His eyes started to water. And I asked him what's wrong, and he said, I swear to God, I'm not crazy. You've had a tube TV since we started dating. It was a tube TV when we took that picture. I brushed it off as his head being rattled from the accident, and he didn't bring it up again. However, anytime we hung out in my room, he always looked at that TV weird. Well, fast forward 7 years. My husband and I have been married for a few and decide that we're ready to be parents. I'm not on birth control, and we decide whatever happens, happens. She goes into some graphic stuff about pregnancy. But they're in a restaurant. She starts bleeding terribly, but she had recently had a period, so it's not that. They call an ambulance. She goes to the hospital. 20 minutes later, I'm on a stretcher being taken to a hospital. An hour after that, I'm being prepped for emergency surgery, as the doctor tells me I have a ruptured ectopic pregnancy. I have heavy internal bleeding, and if he doesn't perform surgery, I am going to die. 6 hours later, I wake up very sore and tired. Doctor tells me I'm very lucky, and if I'd waited any longer to seek medical attention, I'd be dead. Husband stays with me in the hospital the first night, then gets a hotel for the rest of the stay. A week later, we are cleared to fly home, and I go through a grueling month of healing from the surgery. 2 months after our return, somehow my husband and I get on the topic of fires, and he goes on about the dangers of kitchen fires, and I say, no need to worry, we're all set with the extinguisher in the closet. And he looks at me like I have 3 heads and asks me what I'm talking about. I remind him about the extinguisher in the front closet where we keep the coats. We've had it for 3 years. He insisted we buy one when we bought our house. My husband shakes his head and tells me he has no idea what I'm talking about. We don't have a fire extinguisher. I remind him about not only my memories of fighting about if we really need one, where to put it, buying it from Home Depot, but also installing it to the wall in the closet. He looks at me with confusion and tells me none of that happened. I get up, go to the front closet to show it to him while cursing him for being an asshole for forgetting our 2-week fight about it. And lo and behold, no extinguisher. Not only is there no extinguisher, there's no holes in the wall where I know we installed it. No fresh paint. This wall has never been touched. I insist he's moved it and fixed the wall and ask why the F he would play such a stupid prank. He continues to insist we've never had one, let alone talked about getting one. And this goes on for several minutes. I'm approaching hysterics, telling him to quit playing with me when he finally says, now you know how I feel about that TV. We didn't speak about it for a long time. Then after I found this thread, brought it up and brought up the theory that perhaps in another timeline or dimension or whatever you want to call it, we both actually died and we reset like a video game, and the TV and extinguisher are glitches. I don't know if I agree with him. All I know is that I've never been so rattled in my whole life. And every time I get something out of the closet, I'm overwhelmed with this feeling of wrongness. I know it should be there, but somehow it's just not. I can't explain it. He says he's willing, he will go to his grave swearing that I had a tube TV. Anthony Goodley thinks that these Mandela effects are timelines crossing over. The multiverse is real. Could be. Could be. I mean, you know, when you go through this sub, then the sub is glitch in the matrix, which is it's really interesting. And I'm pulling the ones that I thought were fun. Most of them are not. A lot of them just feel fake. But and even a couple of ones that I pulled are like, they're a stretch. But there are a few like this one. It just felt sincere. It just felt kind of sincere. And there are a couple like this. Clear Adventure says Matrix much. Basuqua says glitches are the universe gaslighting. Yeah, it kind of feels like that. Blackbeard says this is real. Bell thinks CERN is up to no good. Kieran simulation theory. Yeah, it could be the glitches in the sim. And this is this one is just sort of that theme that you see a lot here. She says, I have 4 kids. I know I have 4 kids. But recently I just feel like there should be another one, but it's missing. When we go out, I head count and get flustered because I can't find the extra one. I have to consciously remind myself there are only 4, but my heart just doesn't believe it. Well, I just put it down as one of those weird feelings and push it aside. Then my parents sent money to my kids. They sent $500. I called them and asked why they put in so much, and they were confused. They said they told me they were sending $100 per kid. Then I reminded them I only have 4 kids. They were silent for a moment and then just kind of laughed and said they must be getting old because they were thinking there was 5. Then tonight, my daughter walked into the lounge room. She looked around and said, I know we're all here, but our family feels small. My son agreed. I hadn't said anything to anyone about my feelings lately because they already think I'm ancient and forgetful at 40. Thanks for reading if you made it this far. Does anyone else ever have these feelings? This is what I kind of feel with deja vu, which at my age, you're not supposed to get as often as I do, but I do. And it's uncomfortable. And when I get deja vu, it lasts a long time. It lasts a really long time. Like you get that feeling, oh, deja vu. And with me, it's like, oh, deja vu. And then it goes on and till I almost feel like I'm going kind of crazy. Then I start to get stressed out and frustrated. Like, okay, I got it. Enough with the deja vu. And I think that there could be a similar type of phenomena happening here. where deja vu could be something going on with the simulation or the matrix or the universes or whatever crazy thing this is. Bonsai, is your deja vu triggered by smells? If it is, I hadn't noticed that before. Shania says, pretty sure deja vu is a problem with your prefrontal. That would explain some things. I can think simulation theory is real. I'm in that corner myself. I'm 90%. But it's not simulation, it's something. Midget Matt says AJ's a medium. I'm not. I don't have any type of psychic anything going on. Duke Steady, AJ sniffing nut. No, it's just dry in here, and I kind of just need to clear some bats out of the cave, but the camera's on. You know, I could do this. And now no more sniffing. But look, if you find a little baggie of Coke in my lobby, I don't know how it got here. Call the Secret Service. They'll find out who did it. Critic Hal, just pick your nose. Well, that's what I did when I turned the camera off. Xander's got booger sugar. This group. All right, I've got three or four quick Matrix stories, and then we can read a near-death experience if you'd like. This is only a paragraph, but I wanted to run it past you because I want to do an episode on this phenomenon. So my mom died 13 years ago. About 4 years ago, my dad was on vacation in Arizona with his girlfriend. He said he was up watching TV, and then the hotel phone rang. He answered it and said it was my mom's voice saying, "I'm okay." Then he said, "Cass?" And he said the phone was crackly. And then the voice said, "Tell Heather, me, that I'm okay." He said his girlfriend was confused why the phone rang. He immediately called me even though it was late, and he was crying. My dad doesn't believe in the supernatural, but still to this day can't explain that call. So I'd like to do an episode on this. Phantom phone calls, sometimes they're called, about people getting calls from dead loved ones. And not just like, oh, grandma called and then I find out that she died that morning. Not that, although that happens plenty. Stories like this, where the woman has been dead for 13 years and the call just comes out of the blue at a hotel. So I see that story over and over and over, where you're living in a different house, a different country, and the dead loved one finds you. And it's always, the phone call is always the same. It's staticky, it's crackly, it's hard to understand. The voice, I know it's them, but it sounds flat, like there's no emotion. And it's always similar things, is I'm sorry, or I'm okay. You know, don't be sad for me. It's always that same type of thing, a kind of a reassuring story. But the reason I want to do an episode on it, not just because that's fun, is because there are at least two that I found, and if I research it, I'll find more of these calls recorded. And one of the calls that's recorded is from a paranormal researcher calling his partner, which is super creepy. Super creepy. Rhiannon says, please do the phantom phone calls. I will do that. You know, remember not a few years ago that guy died in a train crash. It was up in Southern California, and his phone was just calling his loved ones. He didn't say anything. It's just he called his wife. He called parents. I called his brother, and but he was killed on impact, and his phone was destroyed. There was no way it could make these phone calls. Jeff 6, a story like that was on Art Bell. I have to look for that, Jeff. Stephanie says these are ADCs, after death communications. Well, Stephanie, I think it's a good episode. Yeah. I think we do it. Zach Bullen would love to see me on the JRE podcast. I've already been on there, Zach. Wayne Taylor, do you remember the 1982 movie The Entity? Supposed to be a true story. I do remember that movie, and yes, it's supposed to be a true story. And know that, and it's super scary, and it is not for children. It is not. And if you're like, oh, I like horror movies, Entity's more than that. It's rough. Jen, have you seen The Entity?
Yes.
That's more than a ghost story, isn't it?
It is more than a ghost story. It's a great movie if you like horror movies and you like paranormal stuff, but it's there can be a lot of triggering stuff in there.
Oh yeah.
And like the real kind of triggering stuff, and it's intense. So yeah. If you haven't seen it, look it up, read the synopsis of it before you watch it. Yeah, what was the sound in the background there?
I didn't hear. Did you hear? I didn't hear any sound. I saw an interesting question there. Hyro, is that how you say your name? Took 13 years to make a call. How would they make a call? There's a few theories on it, but the theory that at least most interesting to me that I would include in the episode is that how ghosts or consciousness or whatever you want to call it is an effectuation, or it's an electromagnetic field or a vibration that we all have, and what our soul is, depending on what you believe. So that soul, that spirit, being a form of electromagnetic radiation, can tap into the phone lines, cell phones too. And which is why it's crackly, because it's EM. So it's kind of, there's interference, but that's one of the reasons for it. Tom Bunn says 0 point energy are souls. I'd never heard that, but that would make sense. They got to go somewhere, right? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. The phone call thing was a Twilight Zone episode, says Abdul. I feel like I know what you're talking about, but I can't place the episode. And I feel like I know all of those. Shedrick Staley, regarding The Entity, wow, just read the synopsis. All caps, I gotta watch it. Okay. It's hardcore. All right, here's a glitch story that actually, do I have the other link? Yeah. It has a couple of photos. It's a long one. Yeah. It's a long one. I'll just read it. I'll see what you think. Set the tab on. The title of this one is Elevators Freak Me Out. This is not written by Alyssa Lamb. So this was when I was about 8. My mom, brother, aunt, and grandma had all traveled to Chicago to see Dinosaur Sue. It's a field museum. Definitely go check it out. We'd been staying in a hotel nearby for about 5 days. It was very upscale, new, and overall very nice. Those entire 5 days, my mom would let me run ahead to the elevator when returning to our room from swimming, getting ice, etc., and let me ride up alone, since our room was right to the left of the elevator when you got off. And my grandma would always have the door cracked. So one day on the way back from the pool, I literally just got out. Wet hair, suit, towel. I did the same. Ran ahead and entered the elevator. Pressed the button for the 7th floor. There's only one elevator in this hotel, by the way. Once I got to the 7th floor, which I knew by the signs outside the elevator, I went to the second door to the left, like I had maybe 20 times before that week. I knocked, and nothing. I remember becoming weirdly alarmed at this point. Best way I can describe it. Even though I was smart enough to know I could always just return to the lobby or that my mom would be arriving shortly. So while wondering why my grandma wasn't answering the door, I returned the few feet to the elevator and waited for my mom and brother. I saw on the display that the elevator was arriving on floor 7, the floor I was on, which was clearly written on the sign. I see the light and hear the elevator ding. The doors open, empty. At this point, I just feel something is very off and return to the door, knocking and crying now, and getting cold because I'm still very wet from the pool. Finally, after no more than a minute, a very old woman answers the door and says, "Dear, I told you yesterday, this is not your room." I had never been there yesterday. She then said, "It'll be fine. I'm very sorry, but I'm on the phone with my son. Give it a few more minutes. Your mother is coming." And then closed the door. I was shocked. How could anyone close the door on a crying kid who lost their mother, especially a woman who seemed like the caring grandmother type? Almost immediately after she closed the door, the elevator opened and my mom ran out crying and grabbed me. She was saying, "Oh, honey, where were you? I'd never been so worried." She then went to open the door. Not our room. She was stunned. The whole time I'm trying to explain I had been here and my timeline of events had only been about 5 minutes. Her still hugging and holding me, she kind of just went into autopilot, went back into the elevator with me. She pressed 7 again. The doors closed super briefly and then reopened. The elevator didn't move at all. Once the door opened, we both saw my grandmother standing in the second door to the left crying, and then very happy running out to hug us. Apparently, I had been missing for 45 minutes. Police were called. Every floor had been gone to. They were still in the process of knocking on all doors, opening even locked vacant rooms. Apparently, my mother had decided to once more go and look at the pool to see if I'd returned there. Then after seeing it empty, she took the same only elevator back up to 7. Only this time, out of the multiple other times that day, she found me. And not only that, we were clearly not in the elevator hiding out, as it was the only one. And the police and staff had gone up and down the elevator multiple times looking for me. We still talk about it to this day and can't explain it. My hair was still wet. The police were kind of pissed until the hotel staff pulled up the camera, showing me getting on the elevator, but never getting off. Then what was the creepiest was that when my mother got on from the lobby, you see her get on, then 10 minutes passed, and then she gets off at floor 7 with me in her arms. They went through all the cameras on all floors, which had very clear angles of the elevator on each floor, and nothing. We still talk about it to this day and can't explain it. The staff were freaked out, as were the police. They were almost convinced someone had taken me, and they became freaked out and left me shortly after. They were stumped as to why my hair was still wet, but they couldn't refute the cameras. I'd always wanted to call and see if they still talk about it years later. I don't want to mess with it because it's not like I even see the event as serving a purpose. So now she's, doing edits because she did go back and contact the hotel. She did check with the police, and she even checked for their family to see if they had pictures of that trip, which they do, which I'll try to show you, but my browser's freaking out. All right, let me see if I can get these to work. Yeah, so there's mom in the hotel room. There's Sue. There's the author of the story. But you see all that stuff happening there? Did you see all this bananas with the website, Jenny?
Mm-hmm.
It's because my computer's freaking out.
Oh.
So you're gonna have to do some super chats while I deal with my technical difficulties.
Okay.
How would that be? That would be good?
That'd be fine. Yeah.
Do you want Gino and Victoria to read them with you?
Sure.
They don't have to.
Yeah, no, they should. I'm just trying to find, because they haven't been deleted after you've read them. So I'm trying to.
I did the same thing. I was going through, going, where did he stop?
Yes.
Let's see.
There he goes. Let's see. We'll just start here. Paul F. for $10. Thanks for another great episode. I think you really threaded the needle to balance the theories versus the debunking. I would love to hear more about what we found up there. I agree. It's some crazy stuff. I don't know. I mean, we know stuff about the moon. I feel like we wouldn't know unless we went there. But I still don't know if like the footage that we saw was the real deal. Like Gino said, how do you make a phone call? Go ahead.
I'm going to go right out and say I don't believe the debunking. I'm go ahead for AJ's research. I'm not won over.
Well, there you go. Are you out somewhere where there's like a waterfall?
I think that's AJ working on his stone.
Okay. Awesome. All right, let's see. Richard Bramlett, $30. Hey, Rich. Thank you. Paul back for $20. Love the episode. I just wish you spent more time debunking claims too. Just like you discussed, the Van Allen belts would have been good in the episode. Yeah, Paul, the thing is that like this episode was 48 minutes long. So, if he had discussed everything he could have discussed, it would have been over an hour long. So, and it's not that he doesn't want to do episodes that long. However, he just literally doesn't have enough hours in the week to film and then edit an episode that's over an hour long. So,
and he just thought
there.
He just thought the Van Allen belt. He just sped through it.
Right.
Don't believe it.
Carlos for $10 highlighted my week or your videos. Always look forward to Thursdays. Well, thank you so much. We look forward to having you here too.
Yeah, I feel like like a toy from Toy Story. We're live during Thursdays, and then we just wait for Thursdays to come around again. We're with you. We can't wait for Thursdays either.
Yep. Tim Plummer for $19.99. Nah, we went. Simplest solution is that we landed there. Imagine how many people would have to be muted. Fun to question, but we went. Yeah, I mean, that's something that I think about too, is it's like, it's kind of like the same thing with like Roswell and a lot of that stuff is that, especially now, how do you not get people that like blow the lid off the stuff? Like, you would think that we would know, somebody would blow the whistle.
Well, I want to say that when they got back, there was a press conference. And during the press conference, they all looked scared and depressed. And these are American heroes. There's no hero above our astronaut, and they really did not look like they came back gung-ho and like they did the greatest thing that mankind has ever seen. Just, again, my 2 cents.
Yeah, but I mean, I also don't know what it would do to your body, literally traveling from here to the moon and then, traveling back and all that stuff. I mean, maybe they were just like trying to get through the day and they were forced to do this freaking press conference and they were exhausted from all of the stuff. I don't know.
That's a good way to explain it away, I guess. Their PR people would probably say the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. We would have to like go back and do research on what traveling into space does to the human body.
Did this work?
Well, you're back.
You seem okay.
Well, I knew that was going to happen, but luckily I was prepared for it. So I don't think I was gone that long, right?
I was prepared.
No, but your Philosopher's Stone music played throughout the whole time.
Well, yeah. You didn't mind it, did you?
No, not the first time I heard
Oh, when avalanche is coming and I do not feel prepared.
All right.
it.
Oh, we love that song.
I know, but they don't know what you're singing. Should I get some super chats in there?
Go for it.
Where will we leave off?
Good question.
I am.
We're removing the ones that we've covered already.
I took out the ones she read. We don't know which ones you read so far. No. See, was that? He's always the first.
That's Quantum Sledgehammer. We got you. Thank you for the support, Quantum Sledgehammer. Appreciate that.
So
I gotta
you read,
see where we are.
you read that
you-
one. You read
Could
that
you
one.
just next time conduct this live stream in a professional manner?
Stephen Taylor would like to know how they got through the Van Allen belt, Jennifer.
It was all spread out. They went fast.
There you go. It was all spread out. They went fast. That's correct.
So there's no damage at all. Radiation, just it's fast. We're quick. We dodge it.
Well, the particles are so spread out that it wasn't enough density to do too much damage.
It was one MSV.
Is the story.
It's a good story.
So I think we're caught up. So I think you could start at the top now.
Start at the top. Tinfoil sack.
Oh, thank you for the tip. I'm saving up to build a bunker to protect me from the lizard people. They're coming to get you.
Don't forget about the mirrors used for measuring the distance between Earth and the Moon. Anyone and everyone can access these mirrors. That's true. Talking about the laser measuring mirrors on the surface of the moon. I have one of those pointers. I'm going to try and see if I can hit it. Would it reach? It would reach, right?
No.
There's douchebag Kylo 999. I met and had a couple of conversations with Bart Sibrel before a couple of decades ago. I cheered when I first heard about Aldrin punching him. In my opinion, it couldn't have happened to a more deserving guy. I've heard that about him. As I used the clip of him getting punched by Buzz in the video, and someone told me, everyone who uses that clip, he files a copyright claim. I said, boom, cool. Let him do it. Arc Punk Comics for 1999. Jesse and Ori are here. Oh, with Mom tonight. Celebrating our joint birthday week. Are they having a joint? What are they doing? Are they having it? Are they sharing a joint with Mom? That's a cool family. If she insists the moon landing was fake, I'm open to it being real because I really want to know more about these bases. Thanks, team. We love you all. All right. Stay cloudy. Arc Punk Comics.
Happy birthday, Moon Children.
Happy birthday, Moon Children. All right. There is Zeb, the super fan, Francis 999. Why fan up in her? I'm not really her yet, though. Great. Record-breaking episode. Keep it up. Question. Which Game of Thrones character do each of you identify with most? Hecklefish has a Joffrey vibe, wouldn't you say? Okay, Jenny, which Game of Thrones character do you identify with most?
Oh my gosh, that's a hard one. Like, who would I want to be, or who do I identify with most?
Gino, who do you identify with most?
I smoke and I know things.
All right, so he goes with Tyrion. Victoria, who do you identify with most?
What was it? Darius, the dragon lady? She was my favorite.
Dragon Lady?
Yeah.
I think maybe Sansa.
You're going to go with Sansa?
I'll tell you though, I wish I could identify with the little girl. I forgot her name, but she was really the best character that was ever on that series.
Arya?
No, not Arya. The little girl that supported Sansa.
Oh yes, the young Marmont.
I think you're talking about young lady Mormont.
Yes.
Rob Ashley for $10.
Well, I'll be a son of a fish. That's a nice tip.
A big one is the interview the astronauts did after coming back. For people who made history, they all look somewhat like someone was holding their family hostage and shot their dogs.
Simulation.
Thank you. I
That's
just
true.
said exactly this while you were off cam.
They
So
they looked miserable or stressed out or both.
Yep.
You know, for people who just made history.
Where'd Jen go?
I gotta get the groceries from the front door.
Yeah, but they want to see what you got.
Stop it.
Conroy Whitney's there. Always look forward to your videos. Can we come up with a code word for when they try to convert you to controlled opposition? We need a safe word. I don't know, Conroy. A lot of people already think that I'm gatekeeping. Clearly, they don't watch all the episodes, but yeah, that's the word. Is that I'm gatekeeping? There's our YouTube channel completely dedicated to exposing that the Y-Files is funded by the CIA, and it's obvious. You can track the Y-Files finances, and they track right back to the CIA. Obviously, because of course. Yeah, so that's a real channel. Paul's back for $20.
Thank you for that tip. Now I can finally join C Harmony and meet the future ex-Mrs. Moriarty.
I think Apollo 11 and 12 were fake to buy time. Apollo 13 was the first attempt to leave low Earth orbit, and we know how that went. Apollo 14 was the first actual landing. All right, could be. The video feed from that first landing was sketchy. And there is Barry for 2137. Great show tonight. Thanks for all your effort and hard work and what you're doing. Well, you're welcome, Barry, and thanks for supporting the channel. It really does help keep us going. Flutter Flood would like to know why people keep saying nice beaver. I think just like the way it rolls off the lips, Flutter Flut. It just feels good in the mouth. Go ahead, say it. Say it out loud. See? Real Monkey Rogue, we need a safe word. I think the safe word is platypus. Zoso says I'm his favorite CIA agent. That's nice of you to say. Leslie, that's probably more correct. I would be an asset, not necessarily an agent, I think. See, Tim makes a good point. If the Y-Files is funded by the CIA, you all signed a bad contract, right? Well, this particular guy says it's obvious. Finances are just obvious. Chris Robillard, $5. Is there any upcoming spooky ones or ones where you dive into the conspiracy and debunk it? You're my Thursday's bedtime movie. We do have a couple. We have any scary ones coming up, Victoria, that you know of?
I wouldn't say scary.
Well, Chris just likes something on the darker side. You know how he is.
Yeah, I mean, Skinwalker Ranch.
That's pretty scary.
I don't see anything scary.
I thought let's get a spook lights in. We can't get a spook lights
in. Spook lights is coming up.
Uh-oh. Looks like the computer's going to get sick again, and then you two will have to carry the show. Sequa, isn't it possible D's nuts were the reason we didn't go back to the moon?
Funny stuff.
There you go, Basuka. You got me to say it. Sybil, why did the military take over Skinwalker Ranch? Well, there's an actual real answer for that. It's in the New York Post this week. Yep. I'll cover a little bit of that on the Skinwalker episode because I need to dig more into that article, that Green Street article, to find out a little bit more. Stu Farrell's there for £9.99. Excellent episode. Love the debunk the indifferent weird stuff ending. I have to believe because if they didn't land, they couldn't have dropped the module and discover the moon was hollow, which is my favorite story. Yeah, I feel you, Stu. And of course, I couldn't just leave you with that debunk. We had to add some spice to the end.
You spiced it up.
I had to spice it up. I was going to include that the weird stuff, but it's just so much. And I didn't want the episode to be 90 minutes. 45 minutes is already killing me. Uh-oh. The computer's sick.
Isn't it amazing what passes for a live stream these days? Boy, oh boy.
Uh-oh.
There's
Uh-oh.
Nate. Nate asked, best video on moonlighting I've seen. Both the storytelling and the debunking. Top-notch stuff. Well, thanks, man. I'm glad you're out there. There's Mr. Wilson 68758 for $50.
Feel the crab kit. Feel the crab kit. I know it sounds fishy, but I just can't stand the pond. Human, I'm leaving here tomorrow. It seems to me I'm headed for bigger things. But I got bad credit, so banks won't let me borrow. No. That's why I'm begging. I'm begging for you to tip me. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is by far my favorite YouTube channel. And you're my favorite YouTube viewer, Mr. Wilson 68758. I appreciate that. Please make a follow-up video on the moon base. Moon bases. There's all kinds of stuff they found up there.
You've been cloned.
Where?
There's two of you.
And there's a slight delay, so it feels like two of us. Yeah, that's going to be distracting. Darcy Stone for $5. So I'll talk over here. Hey, AJ, Jen, Victoria, Gino, and Hecklefish. Great episode. I believe they found an alien base on the moon's dark side. So many answered questions about it. So many questions, Darcy. Yeah, they found all kinds of stuff back there.
I mean, there's plenty of video of flying objects around the moon.
Oh, yeah.
Why are there two of you?
We've cloned him finally. Yes.
Yay!
Our life's about to get easier.
Okay, I need the new AJ to start to call me in the morning so I can start assigning you work as well.
Don't listen to that other guy. Don't trust that other guy.
We can't hear him. It's a good thing, probably.
There's Johnny Shabazz for 20 Canadian. Best one yet. Your delivery exceeds all others, so don't avoid subjects already covered by others. Thanks. That's nice of you to say, Johnny. I avoid a lot of subjects because I feel like they're already covered to death. But that's nice of you to say. Philip for 1111. I want the moon landings to be real, but it's hard enough to trust the government as is. Amen. Especially when they had every reason to fake it. True. Everything about it is suspicious. Yes. Occam's razor and all that. Well, we're 2 hours in by your clock. You know what that means. Oh, yeah. What? Here we go.
Tell me something I don't know. Where's Gino? Oh, shit, where he go? Tell me something I don't know. Where's Gino? Oh, shit, where he go? Jet set and betting at the regular scenes. Worldwide travel fiend with the cream. Jack Harry's the bone who bets.
So, I don't have Gino's show prep in the private chat. I'm going to check the show prep folder, but I'm not expecting it to be in there.
It's there.
Oh, well. This keyboard is not working anyway.
I started prepping around 4 o'clock today, so we think it's there.
It's there.
I trust Victoria when she tells me.
Why can't you use the link in the private chat?
Well, hang on, stand by. I'm over here.
While AJ is searching, tonight's story hour is brought to you by CavemanCoffeeCo.com. Go there and use the promo code YFiles and get yourself some Java 51. It is the best blend that's out there. You could try some of their others. Their nitros are really good too, but I would stick with the Java 51 myself. How we doing there, boss? Oh, we lost you. We lost you.
We need the other AJ.
You need this one? I guess I need this one for the microphone, huh? No, I'm over here just opening these to see if I can get these images going. Yeah, that's there.
This is clearly not a professional operation.
It's not. Normally we would have show prep in early, but we're
Did I lose you guys? No, I got you back.
all right. There's that. All right, that's gonna work, I think.
That is.
Well, tonight we're going to tell an American tale that goes back to the turn of the century, not this century, the last one. It's called The Van Meter Visitor, and it happened in 1903 in Van Meter, Iowa. Not much going on in Iowa, but back at the turn of the century, it was sort of a mining town. In 1882, there was, during a big gold rush across the country, they found some gold there and created a mine. That mine lasted until 1902, until the miners decided they had to go on strike. So the owners of the mines, they were pretty tough negotiators. They said, instead of paying you guys better wages, we're just going to shut that mine down. And so no more mine. And Van Meter, this tiny little town in Iowa that had its possibility of becoming a big town, didn't work out for it. So a few years later, a year later, September 1903, is the first sighting of the Van Meter visitor. So Eugene Griffith was one of the prominent guys. He's in this picture here. One of the prominent guys in town, and he owned an implement tooling business. So he was, established there and very well trusted. It had a spot right on Main Street, and he worked late into the night often. And this one particular night, he had to travel for work, and he got back to the shop around 1 a.m. So he was packing up, ready to go home, starts walking down Main Street. Now, again, we're talking about 1903. Not much electric going on, not many, no cars on the street, nothing like that. So he's walking home, and he sees a light from one of the buildings coming down, and it looks like a lantern, and he's wondering what's going on here. He knows the town, obviously. Again, not much electric. There's not supposed to be a lantern up there. So he starts approaching it. As he approaches it, the light shoots up into the air over to another building. So he can't figure out, what is he looking at here? Is this some kind of prank or something like that? So as he approached the second building, the light turns on him, and all of a sudden it flies away. So he's not sure what he was looking at. He just knows there was a big flying creature with a light on its head. So the next day, the whole town is kind of, talking about this. They believe him. He's, again, very trustable. He's one of the leaders in business in the town. So everyone's kind of on edge and scared. But the very next night, Van Meter visitor comes back. So the next night, the doctor of the town, Dr. Alcott, he had a cot in the back of his office that he often slept on. Again, right there in the middle of town. So he gets woken up in the middle of the night, again, somewhere around 1 a.m., with a bright shining light coming through his window. So he jumps up, does what every good American does in every one of these stories, grabs his shotgun and runs outside. So now he thinks there's going to be some burglars trying to come in. He heard the story the day before, but, no one puts much credence into a flying dragon-like creature with a light shining off its beak. So now the he grabs a shotgun and he shoots 5 shots at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He is sure that he is hitting this thing, but it's not even phasing him. So now he's terrified. And he runs back inside, locks up the door, and is kind of hiding, trying to figure out what is going on here. And he looks out the window, and the thing is gone. So the only thing he could say is he could see that it was half human and a half animal. It, they could see on its head it had a large protruding beak and a single horn, and that's where the light was, on top of the horn, shooting down at him. So again, once the next day comes along, he tells his story, and now the town is scared, and it doesn't take long for them to figure out, hey, these 2 things are connected. So now the whole town is super scared of what's going on. They're being attacked by these things. So there's another guy, Clarence Dunn, the very next night, October 1st. He's, again, a very trusted person in town. He used to be a teacher. He went to college, and he became the bank manager. So he's again, someone who is very well respected. He's not just a weirdo telling stories. And he comes back and tells. So he's going to watch the bank because he's afraid, that this isn't really some kind of crazy creature, but these are really just people who are trying to rob. These are just, people trying to rob people, thieves. So as he's in the bank that night, again, here it is, around 1 in the morning. What happens is he hears the church bell ring at 1 in the morning, and right as the church bell sound ring is like drowning out, he hears like a garbled, gasping sound, almost like someone's being choked or panting. So he's looking out the window trying to figure out what this is, and all of a sudden, light hits him right in the eyes, and now he's like frozen like a deer in the headlights, and he's stuck in the bank, doesn't know what to do. And then after what seemed like forever, he says, the light starts scanning around the rest of the bank. So he takes a shotgun, and he doesn't even try and leave the bank. He just starts blasting at this thing from inside the bank, and he shoots out all the windows. It's a big mess. So the next day, we're back to the townspeople. Townspeople are scared again. They're investigating. They find some tracks that are left in the ground. It's the only evidence that they find is these 3-toed tracks. Again, 3 toes. We keep hearing these type of things throughout these cryptid and alien stories. So I guess 3 toes is generally something that's shared among cryptids. So one guy takes a plaster casing of these things. Of course, it said that those casings can't be found to this day, but it was said that he took them. They couldn't find any blood, and they know that they shot this thing a bunch of times, but again, couldn't find any blood. So here we go. The next night, this thing just can't stop terrorizing this town. The next night, a guy named O.V. White, who owns the hardware company. Again, these are all people who are well respected. He lived above his hardware store, so he had a eerily similar encounter where he hears this loud shrieking noise, and he looks out his window, and on a telegraph pole, because that's what they were using back then, telegraphs, not phones. On top of a telegraph pole is perched this large human-like, bat-like creature, and he does again what everyone does here. These creatures haven't hurt anyone, but they grab the shotgun. He runs outside, and he's blasting away at this thing, and he is sure he's connected with it. But it seems like this thing isn't even fazed by it. It lifts its wings and lets out a burst of some kind of gas that gives off a terrible odor. And once that hits him, he no longer remembers the rest of what happened that night. He only remembers that much. However, a guy named Sidney Gregg heard all the gunshots. He now runs out of his house, and as soon as he gets out the door, boom, he's hit with the stench. he knows that this terrible terrible thing is out there because of all the stories. He's hit with the stench. He sees it on the telegraph pole, and it starts climbing down using its beak. It's long beak. So it's climbing down, and once it got to the ground, it stood about 8 feet tall, and it had the legs of a kangaroo. So I don't think you could really mistake a kangaroo that's flying around for a real kangaroo, but looked like a kangaroo, 8 feet tall, and had what he described as like a light so bright it was like an electric headlight on its horn. Now, again, not much electric is going on back in those days, so really interesting that it happened. So you think it's going to be over? It's still not over. They're still being terrorized. The next night, October 3rd, there's a guy who works at the Tile and Brick Company, and that Tile and Brick Company is on the site of that old mine that got closed down. This guy J.L. Platt, he's the operations manager there. So this is like the turning point of the story, because he starts hearing these crazy unearthly noises coming out of the mines. Because again, the mine, the opening to the mine is right, just yards from his business, the Tile and Brick Company. So they start getting louder and louder, and he goes down to investigate it. And the way he described it was, the sounds sounded like Satan and a regiment of imps was coming forth for battle. That's a direct quote there. So finally, he's looking, he's trying to figure out what noise is coming. I don't know if I'd be sticking my face down there, but he's looking, trying to figure out where the noise is coming from. Finally, he sees the light, and the light starts coming right at him. So now he kind of crouches, tries to hide, so that he's not around, doesn't get seen by this thing. And it shoots out from the mine and flies up in the air. So now he sees this thing, and he's super scared. But it gets worse. From behind it comes another one. So now we know that it's not just one thing. There's more of these things. This one was slightly smaller. So they kind of trying to figure out, when all the townspeople are talking, is it male and female? Are these things breeding? How many of these things are there that our whole town is under attack? So again, next day, the whole town is getting together. They get together. They get themselves a nice village torch mob together, and they head on down to that mine. So now they're all at the mine, and they wait for it, and they're waiting all night long, and nothing happens. So they're pretty disappointed. 1 a.m. is when they seen this thing every single time. 1 a.m. comes and goes, nothing happens. But somewhere around dawn, finally they could see on the horizon these two things flying at them. So since there's a whole bunch of townspeople here, again, they all got their shotguns out. They start shooting. Every person that's there starts shooting at it. It seems like it was described as a reception that would have sunk a Spanish fleet. So they're blasting at this thing. It seems like it doesn't affect either one of them. In fact, it seems like these things are so unaffected that they are trying to taunt these townspeople, because they just start flying over them with their screeching and letting out that gas, that odor that hits everybody. So the townspeople, they don't know. So again, these things fly around, and after they get shot at, nothing's bothering them. They just land at the entrance of the mine, and they kind of calmly walk into the mine, and seem like just another day for them, unaffected. So of course the townspeople at that point don't know what to do. Everything that they've tried can't stop this thing, can't hurt these things. So they did the smart thing, and they took some dynamite and they blasted the hell out of that mine, and closed the mine up. So and from there they never heard from the Van Meter visitors again. So that's the story of the Van Meter visitor. One thing I'll say is, it seems like in a lot of these stories, these cryptids aren't hurting people, but we're trying to blast the hell out of them. So these things didn't hurt anyone. They didn't try and do anything. But everyone wants to shoot everything. Why can't we just, try and figure out what this thing is? I mean, it's 1903. Plenty of species of animals have been discovered since 1903.
If there's a pterodactyl with a laser on its head that's flatulent, I'm gonna shoot that thing as soon as I see it.
Well, or
You don't come up
get a
and
pet.
fly up in here with your laser head and fart in my neighborhood.
Well, we could have put them to work just like the rest of the animals
No.
in farm communities. You don't know. No, we could have been using them for spotting stuff at night. It could have been the greatest find of nature.
No. You want to fly in my house, you roll up polite.
They could have put out some food for it, made friends, or just put a cardboard box with a stick and try to at least catch it.
There he goes. There's Gino's story. There's the Van Meter farting pterodactyl. There he goes.
Please go to cavemancoffeeco.com, use promo code YFiles, and get yourself some Java 51.
If someone wondering where they can get some of Gino's caveman kush, I don't think we're in that business anymore.
No.
I'm on the space weed now.
On the space weed, I'm going to blow through some of these some super chats. I'm going to let you guys go so we can accelerate. I mean, Angie's here, Bad Adam, Sato Mars. These people got stuff to do. I can't keep them here all night. Can we, Gino?
Well,
there he goes. All right, there's Matt Taylor, Mad Hatter Disc Golf. Someone plugged your channel on Coast to Coast AM. Oh, that's cool. Barra was on with Nori a few weeks ago and plugged the channel. But if there was a more recent plug, then I'm not aware of it. But definitely let me know, Matt Hatter, something with an M. Who is John Golf for 9.99? Whether you believe it or not, it was a great show. I usually believe they're fine. So the numbers are pleasantly surprising. Tonight, I didn't think we'd break the record. Hang on a second. We're being flagged. Here she is.
He's saying whether you believe the moon landing was a hoax or not. It was a great show.
Oh.
He's not saying, AJ, you may not believe what I'm saying, but it was a great show. That's not what he meant.
Oh.
Okay. Let's see. From Tim Peterson, 55. Whoa.
A modern-day goldfish lives in style, but you haven't tipped in quite a while. You haven't tipped a cent. I gotta pay my rent, or I'll be living in a tent in Portland.
Peterson for 55. In case tonight's video is demonetized, here's a bit. Love you guys. Keep at it, my friend. Thanks for that, Tim. It very well could happen. It could happen. Oh, now what's going on? Victoria doesn't have air conditioning where she is, or is she just having a hot flash?
No, the AC went out. They replaced the capacitor while we've been on, and it's just cooling down. So it's like 80.
Oh.
So this has nothing to do with hormones. I just want that to be clear.
No, it does not.
All right.
I remember you telling me that it wasn't keeping up, like it wouldn't cool down past like 75 at the house.
Yeah, so after 3 days, we were kind of like, okay, we're calling somebody, and then it just went out, and they replaced it. So we're good. We're going. I'm just a little hot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because I'm trying to listen to Gino's story hour. I don't see the fan. I just see her hair blowing like a Cindy Crawford, like in a music video. It's very I think it's very glamorous. I think she should walk around with fanners. Is that what they are? Not fluffers. That's something different. Fanners?
That's something completely different.
All right. Well, we don't need to talk about Gino's summer job. There's Maximum Caffeine for $5. Moonbases. When is that episode coming? It's coming soon. Maximum caffeine, I promise. It can't be too soon though, because we gotta mix it up for you. I guess Truth likes likes Rush. Good call. Wheels was a fluffer. It's a life. It's a living. And Victoria's got a lot of fans in the chat. Yeah, Octagon says, I knew I recognized Gino from somewhere. There is Terrible Emu, $5.
Thank you, human. Maybe now we can get some indoor plumbing for this bowl. Ugh, it smells like a dumpster full of used baby diapers in here.
My theory is the moon is a massive geode formed from the Great Impact. Could be Terrible Emu if there was a Great Impact. Not sure there was. I'll pry. I got to be careful because sometimes you try to get me with those names. Have you seen Zoe interviews Buzz Aldrin? If not, you got to watch it. Buzz tells the truth. I'm going to write that down right now. Zoe interviews. Oh, there it is. Oh, yes, I have seen this because I used the clip in the video. But I appreciate the support. There's the snail.
Chickity, chickity, ching.
What about an episode about Solomon and his magic books or other grimoires and their authors? Send a suggestion into the tips line, Snail. Wifiles.com/tips. Before I forget, don't forget to grab your Kubrick moon landing T-shirt. These are limited time. They really are. It's not just a pitch. Limited time. I think they're up there for 2 weeks, and then they're patrons only. And don't forget. Oh, hang on. I still have technical issues, so I'm trying to figure it out. It's yeah.
You think this passes for a live stream? Think again.
So I wanted to show you the hecklefish, but I don't know what the password is. But it's this. It's this.
Please say aliens. Please say aliens. Please say aliens.
So check that. That's on shop.thewifiles.com. We're at Rebecca Beer, $10 Aloha. Every Thursday is Wi-Files Day. My kids can't wait to laugh at hecklefish jokes. Any chance you do more paranormal stuff? Mahalo in advance if you do. Yes, we have paranormal stuff coming, Rebecca. And we're going to do those calls from the dead. It would be fun. We have the near-death experiences afterlife episode coming soon. So we'll definitely be able to scare you and your kids. Don't worry about that. We'll give everybody nightmares over there. There's Jessica Gerhardt for $5. Cuckoo Cachoo. How do I buy the astronaut tee? See, there is the simulation at work. Right there. Shop.thewifiles.com. If you can get the shirt, it's a great way to support the channel. Patreon's also a great way to support the channel. It's little $3 a month. You get all kinds of perks, including the episodes early with no commercials, no sponsors, no ads. And you do get them early. Sometimes you get them earlier than other weeks. But you do get them early. You get to see them before anyone else. So there you go, Jessica. Thank you for supporting. Like they're $5. It's like two months of Patreon. It's Joey Pickett. It's like 3 months of Patreon. Love Glitch in the Matrix stories. The Time Warp. I like those too. I'm glad that you like those. I enjoy those stories too. Thanks for the support, Jay. There's Matthew Quillen Kien for 666 Mark of the Beast. Hi all. I just want to shout out Ghosty, who couldn't make the premiere due to being lost in an STP mosh pit, aka Mel's Hole. Stone Temple Pilots still out there performing? Did not know that. Cool. There's Fluffy McTavish. Thanks for all your hard work. Well, thanks for the support, Fluffy. Couldn't do this without you guys. It's Wretched Bob, $4.99. Schizophrenia. What if they're actually seeing and hearing things, but from another dimension or time, and it drives them to be crazy? I can see that theory being real, Wretched Bob, with schizophrenia, that it's different realities bleeding into this one. That's an interesting theory. I like it. John Ashby just avoids the ads by using ad block, LOL. That's one way to do it. Capricorn 1 was close to fact, except for the astronauts never escaped, says Kiwi. Daniel Miles said, Temple of the Dog. Oh, Gregory Leon Watson, new lead singer for STP. Okay. I didn't know that. Eric Smith, why aliens do animal mutilations? Is it because they love hot dogs? Well, according to the biologist that we covered a few weeks ago, they like they like cattle because something in the DNA is being infused or spliced with alien DNA. Super strange, but that's a real thing that we got into a couple of weeks ago. It was crazy. It's alien biology, biochemist, I think he was. If you want to see that breakdown, if you go to the Y-Files backstage, I have that whole section clipped out for you. We're going to learn all about that. It's really interesting, very strange. Green Fox 42 is there. Please do a video on the interview with the alien. I got the book after your Roswell episode. It blew my mind, but I need y'all's debunking skills. Hashtag is Green Fox, I think, talking about the EBA 1. I think you're talking about EBA 1, which we are going to be covering that coming up. EBA 1 is the allegedly the live alien taken from the second Roswell crash in 1947 and then lived in Los Alamos on the base until 1952. So we will be covering EBA 1 shortly. There's Chumley for $5. I'm going to guess it's Dr. Rife. Hope so. I can't wait. Google denies access to numerous websites about him. Got to use alternate search. Very sus. You are correct. I still have to figure out how to get that story through the algorithm. There's Lamar for $5. Could you format a live stream and show on one of the forbidden topics? Sure, we could super chat the financial side. Lamar, it's mostly a function of time. The episodes take me a long time to do. So I'm constantly behind. If you remember, before these episodes were getting so long, for a while there, I was doing 2 a week. But, they were 10 minutes. They were 10, 11 minutes episodes. They weren't deep dives like we do now. Maybe we can get back to that. I know maybe next week is going to be a little bit shorter of an episode as a palate cleanser for you. There is Jim for $10. The only thing the government does well is propaganda and crime. Moon landing is BS. Jim, not a believer, but which is fair. But what he says up front is true. The only thing the government does well is propaganda and crime. That can't deny that. Matthew Neves, Ned's Matthew N. You playing the banjo? Matthew, a little bluegrass? I'm not sure we went to the moon, but regardless, the story we told that we did helped put an end to the USSR. So it's a win regardless. Did it put an end to it? 69, 91, 22 years? I guess you got a point there. No question that the space race caused the Soviets to spend more money than they had, which definitely accelerated the end of the Cold War and the beginning of a new one. Thought on Fire 222, tinfoil hat beanies for winter wear. I think we're trying to figure something like that out, aren't we?
We are. Yes.
We need some kind of beanie to you got to keep the rays out.
Right.
In the winter.
You got to keep the rays out, and you got to keep your noggin warm.
Rays out and noggin warm, she said.
It would seem that I ordered myself a ticket to Kooky Town on the crazy train. I hope they have a cocktail car.
What happened? Did Nick scare you?
What was that noise?
Now, if Nicolas Cage were going to go on a cocktail car on a train, I'll give you one guess of what type of cocktail he would order.
Mojitos.
Mojito is the correct answer. Of course, everyone knows that. There's Tony Hay Munkets.
That's the good stuff.
Tony Hay Munkets must mean something that I'm not getting. I'm just going to read it. I'm just going to anchorman it. That's why I love you, is your research. Tell the story and then tell me what you figured out. Sometimes it's kind of depressing because I want to believe it's true, but that's why I love you, man, because you're good at research. Well, thanks, Tony Hay. I'm good at research. I'm an entertainer. I'm not the alien guy. I'm not the alien guy. Don't put me on your panel. I'm not that interesting. It's Jerry. Hey, Jerry. 999. Would you ever consider doing an episode on stone softening tech? EVO technology, the Hutchinson effect. Would love to see what you come up with. That's interesting. We have to cover the Hutchinson effect soon. That's anti-gravity technology. Stone softening might be. If we covered alien tech, allegedly the Chinese have that reverse engineered alien technology that they're using in mining applications. They're just having trouble getting it to work, according to the whistleblowers. That's why he's called Where's Gino? That's the reason right there. And I have, it's hard. I'm not as fast because we've got computer problems, but we're getting through it. There's Sunny A for $50.
They got me in collections and garnishing my wages too. Got guppy support payments, alimony up the wazoo. They repoed my car, I'm living in a jar like a bum. Know that you got money, so why the hell don't you give me some? Tip the fish today. Please tip the fish today.
Moon me. Not literally. More moon stories. I'm Sonny for $50. I'll drop my drawers for you. I'm not ashamed of it. I don't mind that. Uh-oh. The wife says no. That's not for sharing, apparently. She's a little crack. I'm not above it. DDD Dumpster Diving Dragon 520. Wish I had that Vatican's Chromavision device and record my too many UFO sightings / interactions. I'd be rich. $! Exclamation point. Dumpster Diving Dragon talking about the Chronavisor. The Chronavisor is that's the device that's allegedly being stored in the Vatican secret archives that lets you see into it through time. They mostly used it to see into the past, but according to it was invented by this priest named Dr. Ernetti, Father Ernetti. And according to Father Ernetti, it could see a few minutes into the future, but it was kind of janky. But they were able to see the crucifixion of Christ. They saw his whole day of crucifixion. He used it to go back and he saw plays being performed in a Roman square around the year 1000 AD and stuff like that. So that's the Chronavisor. We have an episode on that. If you'd like to check it out, it's a fun story. Father Ernetti. Brit's Knees, $4.99. Can we talk about the sitting astronauts? They weren't sitting on chairs, but they were in the sitting position like they were on chairs. Where Brit's Knees? I'm checking the chat. They were sitting on the chairs. Andy Sutter time camera. Yeah, that's it. A Chronavisor.
There are a couple of people in the chat that apparently came in late that they're very upset that you have not explained the Van Allen belt thing.
Go ahead.
So yes, the radiation in the Van Allen belt is very, very intense, but it has to be very concentrated. And so they flew through, but it's very spread out. So they flew through it in less than an hour, and the radiation that they were exposed to was it was less than like you would get from an X-ray.
All right, there you go. There she goes, Van Allen Belt. She's the official senior vice president of Van Allen Belt explaining. I think she does a great job. There's Jeff C for $20.
Whoop-de-doo! Thank you for that juicy tip, human.
Buy Hecklefish some vodka on me. All right.
This human knows what's up.
All right, can do. Appreciate the support. There's Paula's back for $20. And you know what they say about guys with big feet episodes? I do indeed. They say big shoes. There's Ricky T, $4.99. Wife was upset for first part, but was glad for the rebuttal. Some people watch the live feed of the ISS and notice video feed cutouts when UFOs appear. I've seen that for sure. For sure. Like, oh, and they make it so obvious because you'll see UFOs and be like, oh, and then it's just the screen like, we're experiencing difficulties. Please stand by. and then it comes back. And why can't they get a high res 240 frames per second up there? Why they still got that old, like, webcam on there? Get a better camera, ISS. Sato Mars, $4.99. Wi-Fi's got me turning into a telescope. Follow Proto and keep it high and tight. Not a boy. Keep it high and tight. Low Nevada, $4.99. Are any of the structures on the moon facing Earth? A couple of weird anomalies are facing Earth. But the structures, at least the ones that I've seen talked about, and like the structures that Carl Wolf talked about, were on the far side. And according to Wolf, there's photos of all that stuff. And mushroom-shaped structures, all kinds of stuff. And in the episode, I put up a couple of photos of what they found. This computer is not working, so I can't pull it up there. Let me see if I can find something. Structures on the moon. See if I can find a couple of my favorites for you. All right, so these are a couple of the ones that I used. But I'll find you what I think Carl Wolf has found. I mean, some of the images, like, I don't really see it. That's pretty odd. Those, the fact that it has straight lines and this is however big that is, miles and miles long, something like this. Let's see if I can get this to work. So there are photos with all this stuff all over it. And what's this here? What is that? This one's called Hundreds of Bases on the Moon. I believe these are the photos that Wolf is talking about. I could be wrong, but before we get to the episode, I'll get to the bottom of it for you. But what is this crazy stuff? So we've got it for you. Low Nevada. It's coming soon because I'm just fascinated by whatever's up there. Eric Stitt is there for $10 here. $10 more for Double the Dance. All right, man. I appreciate it. Envoy supporting the channel for $20. That episode is fire. Fire, Chef. Bought the t-shirt this week. That t-shirt. So no super chat tonight. Wait, what? That doesn't sound right. I did, Mother Forker. You super chatted. You trickster. I see what you did there. You had me from the beginning. Appreciate that, Envoy. Phil Beck is back. How about an episode covering more of the weirdness that is Long Island? UFO crashes in South Haven, John Ford, TWA 800 Montauk, weird place. I covered a little bit of the Montauk project with that Prestel Nichols video that you might like, Phil. But there is some stuff out there. I think we're covering, let's bring up the producing team. We're covering a Long Island. There's Jen and there's Cindy Crawford. We're covering Plum Island.
Uh-huh.
So that Phil Beck will like that. Plum Island is that's up there in the Long Island Sound with the we're allegedly chemical warfare is being researched, which is illegal. You can't do that, but apparently the U.S. government does what it wants. And part of the rumor, the lore is Lyme disease escaped from that lab because it's tends to be focused specifically in that area of Southern Connecticut and sort of radiates out from there. But that's far-fetched because everybody knows that a deadly disease couldn't escape from a lab. That would never happen.
Gina was trying to flag you down.
So that stuff's coming up. D. Carruthers, $5. I told all my friends that I won't answer any phone calls during the Wi-Files unless I'm dating you. And even then, there are no promises. I like the way you think. Just leave that phone. Just get rid of the phone. It drives the wife nuts. But I will just, my phone. I've been texting you and calling you, and it's like I haven't seen my phone since Tuesday.
And then people call me, and they're like, "I'm trying to reach AJ, and he's not answering his phone." I'm like, "Join the club because I can't get him either."
So the new phone, I had to get the new number because the old number it's findable. People find it, and they use it. The new number, it doesn't even ring. Like I was putting a call screening app on the phone, and I screwed something up, and now it just won't ring. Like it's one of those apps where it broadcasts to the carrier to intercept the calls for you. But I screwed something up, so now phone calls don't even go there. Like it won't even ring. It's never rang one time.
Just delete the app.
It's delicious. It's delicious that way.
Just delete the app.
I did. It won't work. I need to call T-Mobile to get it fixed. But then if I do that, it will start ringing. People will call it.
Yeah.
We can't let that happen. It's working fine this way. Shortcomings. I would love to see your take on quantum immortality. Isn't that weird? The simulation worked. I feel like I escaped death a few times and honestly feel bad for my family on different timelines. Yeah. I hadn't really considered that, but let me signal to the producers to add quantum immortality. Cat! He better not be breastfeeding.
He's not.
Add quantum immortality to the list, please. There is Dr. Nan Friend is back for $50.
I get pretty freaky. He's a super freak. The kind of fish you dream about. You got freaky dreams. I get pretty kinky. He's a super freak. But only if you pay me. Gotta pay the fish. I need a tip. I need a tip. I need a tip from you. And you. And you, human. You and you and you. Hit the super chat. Hit the button now.
You can visit the now stuffed astronaut Laika at the Russian Cosmonaut Museum in Moscow. Just know the people and museum still pay their respects to her. R.I.P. Cosmonaut Laika, and long live our blue lacy name Laika. Yeah, and there's statues to her, Dr. Nan, but if there's a stuffed dog there, that ain't Laika. But they do honor that. They do honor her, and they always have. And we could, we've definitely, as Americans, we've had this rivalry with the Soviets and Russia for as long as I've been alive. But the more you learn about it, their nationalism is certainly as large as ours. They're respectful to their people. They honor their dead. They honor their cosmonauts, their soldiers, and so forth. I'm just not a fan of their political system is all. Appreciate the tip. Joshua Aaron Oler for $20. I never followed the Beatles cover-up story until I had a dream that I was with British intelligence the night Paul McCartney died in a car crash. In the dream, it was one of my first assignments, and we covered it up. Gino says yes. He says that's the correct story. Delta Tango for $10, another great one. I'm old, and I was lucky enough to see all the moon landings live. It was an amazing time. Is Gino out on his front porch feeding raccoons during the show? Are you feeding raccoons?
Could be.
Maybe so. Oh, it's me. Okay. Let's see. I don't think he's feeding raccoons.
Raccoons?
Raccoons. It's not raccoon, and it's not baboon. It's raccoon, and it's baboon.
There she goes. And there's Christopher Newton for $19.99. I have a friend who's archived hours of old tape recordings to digital. You might consider them mundane, but they lost these NASA recordings. Sketchy, right, Chris? Sketchy. Basique was back for $9.99. They stopped my baptism so they can watch the moon landing. So either I'm going to hell for nothing or I have a plausible deniability when I see y'all down there. Well, I'll see you there for cocktails, Basique. Appreciate the support. Ingrid Chill is there for 1969. Watched the moon landings on a dozen TVs when I was 2 years old, holding my dad's hand in the Grand Way department store. You need an alternate uncensored platform. I don't know if they make those, Ingrid Chill. They make some ones that are a little bit less censored, but I don't know if there's any uncensored. But even if there were, if you're talking about Rumble or BitChute or Odyssey, there's no money there. So how does that work? I mean, I guess I could do this for free and we could just live off Jen's income. Let's not do that. There's Keith H. I know it's Keith Ackley. I'm teasing, of course. Superb episode, and that one guy looked like he deserved a punch to the face. Certainly look forward to more info on why we aren't going back to the moon. Great job. Yeah, that's Sabrell. He's got that kind of reputation. There's Rob Abels, 1999.
I like big tips and I cannot lie. You other fish can't deny.
Tips, he said tips. Awesome show. What up, Don Abels? I guess that's Rob doing a shout out to Don Abels. What up, Don Abel, Ron Abel, Don? Jason for $20. Why can't we take a picture of the buggy and flag with the Hubble telescope or JW telescope? I don't think we could do that. At least that's what I've read, that we can't do that. But there are shots of the Apollo 1 landing site at least that where we can still see you can still see the tracks where Neil Armstrong drove around. If it's real. John for 1999, thanks for being awesome. Can you explain the weird relaunch crane liftoff situation and why everyone is writing about beavers? Why is everybody writing about beavers? I mean, it's still in the chat. I'll just be checking out the chat where Jen Hagani's there with her pet raccoon and a pet cat coon and Hecklefish there. Armstrong didn't have her. I know Delta Tango, but you can still see the tracks from one of those missions. But then every once in a while, I always see nice beaver pop up. There's Tom Virgo 99, nice beaver. Purposeful Porpoise, beardy beavers.
John, so we do a giveaway during the show, and
there's Dave Hoffner for $10.
Ooh, mamacita. Thanks for the tip, human.
My first after show. Awesome. I'm glad you made it, Dave. Appreciate it. Were you signaling for?
What about the crane launch? The fake crane launch. You didn't answer the real question there.
What do you mean fake crane launch? What are you talking about?
Go back there. Go back one.
Go ahead and answer it.
I don't think it can be debunked. I feel like it was a fake crane launch. How are we watching the thing shoot up into the air?
Oh, we're talking about the separation of the lunar lander.
Right.
How it goes back up to orbit. It's not a strong argument.
You know, and maybe I missed it in the debunking, but what was the camera that's filming it?
The camera was operated remotely.
All right. Operated remotely from where? From NASA?
From NASA. And then hoaxers will say, yeah, but there's a delay. So how do they know when to pan up? Because it's framed perfectly. And then it's like, well, NASA, they know what the countdown sequence is, so they timed it right.
Okay. Remember, webcams just 10 years ago weren't that good, but back then it's tracking and keeping.
It was NASA. They were just so good at it. But look, I said at the end of the episode, did we go to the moon? Probably. I didn't say for sure. There's a lot of stuff in the story that just isn't quite right.
So
but
who set up the camera?
The astronauts set up the cameras. All the cameras they set up. And you can see them in some shots.
So Neil Armstrong is running wire. He's running cable. He's crimping wires.
He's rolling. He's dragging out cable. He's crimping wires.
In a spacesuit, he's doing this.
Doing that.
Have you ever worn big gloves? Like I wear big just some gloves, and I can't touch anything. And he's able to do electrical. You ever put on a
So
pair of
so
mittens?
dexterous. He's an astronaut. He's dexterous.
I'm sorry.
Batteries, plenty of batteries, power. They brought it up there. Cameras, equipment, gear. There's plenty. No problem.
So, and what is the electrical source? It's Duracell batteries. What
Just copper tops.
What is the power source of those cameras that
Batteries.
are shooting a signal back to the Earth in real time? In real time?
Yeah.
Come on, this is crazy. Do you remember we would make a phone call in the 80s and get in trouble because it was so expensive just to call, New Jersey? I mean, it's crazy. They're making phone calls from the moon in real time with live webcams before Nest was invented. Come on.
Timmy Q says had to be giant batteries. You would, I mean, to get a signal to the Earth from the moon, it would have to be a giant battery to put out that signal. But a battery that big should be too heavy to get up there.
That's what I'm saying. And then what happens? They had a conveyor belt to bring it down. He came down a ladder, so he's carrying that stuff down. He's carrying the camera and the batteries off on the ladder.
Trunk? Maybe they got a trunk.
Where's the trunk? How come we don't have pictures of the trunk going back up?
Well, they did have storage, like the rover. The rover was like it folded up into a tiny little thing that they just sort of pulled out of the LEM, and then it just chung opened up.
How heavy was that rover? They couldn't even bring lead on the thing because it was too heavy. But they're bringing rovers.
They brought rovers. Floppy Sword says it's lighter there. No, yes, Floppy, it's lighter there. What I'm talking about is the liftoff from Earth.
Doesn't make sense.
Travis Williams wants to know how do they get through the radiation?
So, Travis, the radiation in the Van Allen belt is very, very intense. However, it's very spread out. So in order for it to affect you greatly, you would have to have it in a really concentrated way. So it's really spread out, big old particles. They flew through really fast in like less than an hour. And so they got the amount of radiation that you would get from like an X-ray.
This is crazy. That's a crazy explanation. So, all right, those particles, they're spaced out right. We never got unlucky and hit one of them. We never once hit one of them.
They
Just
hit
one
them,
unlucky moment.
but they're so spread out that they're not doing that much damage. Although when they were discovered, scientists thought it was a nuclear bomb going off, but you could fly through them. Just you go really fast and you go through where the radiation is least, of course, obviously.
I have a question for you. So they have footage of Neil Armstrong stepping on the moon for the first time, first person stepping on the moon.
Go ahead.
But somebody's got a camera filming him. So how did the camera get out there?
Yeah.
I think the official story is Neil Armstrong rolled down the window and hucked it, and he hucked it and it landed. And then when it lands, it has like a device. NASA said he hucks it out the window and it lands on the feet. And when it can sense that it's landed, then it orients itself and it turns on and then it beams back to Earth. And then Nixon gets on the line and says, "Great job."
Yeah,
within the minutes,
with no delay.
So Dave says there are cameras on the exterior of the lander.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's there were cameras on the lander.
Wait a minute. There's cameras on the lander, but the film that we see when he's getting off on that ladder, that's not. We could see the lander. So what is it? A big spider arm?
Mm-hmm.
No,
it's a wide-angle lens attached to the side of the lander.
It's lower than the ladder. He's coming down.
Floppy Sword, wouldn't they burn off? They wouldn't burn off because there's no atmosphere, so there's no friction. All that stuff, like the LEM and the module, it's all packed up inside the rocket. So like when they launch, they're in like the top, like the nose of the rocket, right? And then you've seen the the different sections, the stages they drop off. Well, they crawl back down in, the LEN is in there. So it's inside the rocket, the fuselage, so it wouldn't burn off.
And how far up did they drop that from?
The LEM?
They drop it. Well, yeah, they dropped
dropped
the
it.
lander.
It was 10 feet. They turned off the retro rocket.
From 10, wait a minute. No, so the big rocket is going to the moon. It gets to the moon, and they're ready to drop their payload off, right? With two guys that are most likely going to explode when they land. So they put the lander in, they open the doors, the hatch doors, and how far up is it? A mile? How far did the rocket get to the moon?
You mean, what is the height of the orbit?
Yeah, how far was the rocket next to the moon before it drops out this lander that gently lands on the moon? Yeah, you drop something out of an airplane, it's not gently landed anywhere. So how far up was the rocket before they launched that thing out of the moon? It doesn't. And they made this happen on the first attempt without it. Just imagine it. How does it go?
Up. It was way up there.
How far? A mile?
2
miles. So they dropped that thing. So just forget that it's a light
10,000 feet. It began its braking at 10,000 feet.
All right, So they drop it out. All right, and it lands gently, no problem. And when they're done doing all their stuff, having their day at camp, they shoot it back up, and then what? It comes around and just grabs it like a. They got a little. How is it getting back in there? How are they getting that big lander back inside the rocket before they go back?
It doesn't go. It attaches.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. There's how this is like planes fueling in the air. I mean, how does it attach?
What they're saying is that the lander had like thrusters, and it powered itself down to about 10 feet, 15 feet from the surface, and then they turned off the thrusters and then it landed. So it wasn't like it dropped out of the shuttle and just fell.
The lander is built on top of a go-kart. I mean, I could have built this in our garage as kids, and it could descend 2 miles, no problem, no problems whatsoever. Lands, no problem, no shaking, no crash. 2 miles down,
no crash. Although Neil Armstrong crashed when he was practicing the LEM, he crashed. He had to eject. He almost got killed because he couldn't fly it. But they got it. They nailed it. They got it dialed in
on the first time.
And every time, aside from 13, they were good. They had it figured out. A lot of skepticism, Dave Hoffner. You feeling it? His first after show, Dave. Everyone say hi to Dave. Nice beaver seems to be the word of the day. Adam AJ is trying to prevent demonetization. Usually the live streams are pretty safe, Adam. The main video could be tricky. But the live streams, they give you a little bit more leeway. Neil Armstrong was a salty old man. Was he? He didn't do much press. He always seemed to be okay, but you just constantly see him being accosted and approached and harangued. So, he's going to be salty, but he didn't do a lot of press, a lot of interviews. I see a lot of explanations in the chat about how they did what and whatever. And look, it could all be right, but we're just speculating because everything that we know about what they did and Neil Armstrong's his last minute corrections and all that, that's what we are told. And our speculation is about the things that we've not been told. I think it's fun to speculate. There's Crunch Factory for $10. Sorry if I missed this, but why would the space station folks talk about trying to get through the Van Allen belts and hopefully the moon? Seems like a huge giveaway. plus that Apollo 11 press conference. Yeah, I don't know why we have all those clips of those people saying that, because it makes NASA look bad and it just feels more speculation. So I'm not sure why, but like I said at the beginning of the stream, I cherry picked to make it the episode more interesting. So there could be good explanations for that. I can't find them, and I don't know what they would be, but maybe they're there. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt as if they deserve it. And the Apollo 11 press conference, super sketchy. If you've never seen that, it looks like three miserable guys that don't understand what the history that they made, allegedly. Mark Middleton for $10. Had a boss claiming to be psychic. One night, worried, she asks if I know a Bob. I didn't. That night, my friend killed himself. At the funeral, I noticed his name in the program, Brian Owen B. Ooh, Mark, that's a creepy one. That was a creepy one. Paul enjoys story time with AJ as much as story time with Gino. Almost as much. Not quite as much. Thanks for supporting, Paul. Appreciate all the support, all the super chats. It really helps get us going. And we're going to have to come up with a few extra super chats this week to fix Victoria's air conditioning, because that's going to be a problem. We can't have her sitting in a schwitz for hours during the show.
But we can't.
All right, we've moved on from the moon. We've moved on from it.
We can drop from 2 miles.
I too have paragraphs of deja vu, not just a sentence or.
But we.
It's not just a sentence or two. Also, I stay in a dream state for hours after waking up. That was tricky, wasn't it?
That was fantastic.
That was tricky.
As far as live streams go, this one is terrible.
It hurts my feelings. Atlantean Blue, I'm sorry to hear that. I find it deja vu very unsettling. James Lowe is there supporting for $10. Do you think he will do an episode about the Van Allen belts and the buildings were aliens? Nice to see you, Mrs. Y-Files. I think that question's for you. All right, well said. She's a woman of few words, but they're important. Listen up. Whamuel for $20. Have you heard about the WikiLeaks John Podesta emails? I have. I read them long ago, and they had direct mentions of extraterrestrial intelligence like celestials operating in our solar system, and some don't inhabit this universe. I have read all about that, Whamuel. I've avoided talking about it because I don't want to do a video that has John Podesta in it and annoy the algorithm, because the algorithm loves Podesta. But yes, I have read all that, and you're 100% right. There's Arshia, the Joker, for $159 Australian.
Stuff it in my fishbowl. If you want conspiracy, we'll do anything you want, but you gotta do something for me. We are the channel that can find whatever you may seek. But we need some money, human. We don't do for free. In the fishbowl, put cheddar in the fishbowl. What if I said, please, please? Human, thanks for all the cheese.
Thanks for the cheese, Arshia. G'day from Aussie land. AJ for president. AJ, can you help me with my ticket on Discord? You're the only one who can. Love you, buddy. Keep up the great work. My cuz is an astronaut. So. Say hi to cuz. Arshia, I can't help you with your ticket on Discord because I don't even know how that works. I don't know how to do that. I don't even know how to find it. But I appreciate the support.
I got it.
Victoria's, I don't even know where to find that. But say hi to your cousin. I appreciate the support. Apparently, there's tickets on Discord. There's tickets. You can do tickets on Discord, right?
You can.
You can. Cherry Dunnigan is there. Cherry looks too young to be sending super chats, don't you think?
Yeah, it's hard to type with those little pudgy fingers.
It's hard because they're so fat.
Yeah, and you can't get cat to the different letters. Cat. Hi, sweet boy.
Where are you?
He's ignoring
Is he
you.
licking his asshole?
No, he's cleaning his feet.
They used Roswell crash tech to get to the moon, and lost it in the vault at Area 51. I like the way you think, Cherry Dunnigan. I like that a lot. Gino likes that too. I see him down there. Lion of the Morning. Isn't that a Juice Newton song?
Just call me Lion in the morning.
Yeah. That's Juice Newton, right?
Yeah.
You're singing it?
I was.
Fairly certain we went to the moon, but also think the footage was faked. They couldn't risk a televised catastrophe, and they also couldn't risk showing what was really found on the moon. A lot of people think that line of the morning, and there were news reports written. Even Nixon had a speech prepared for if Apollo 11 didn't make it at any point. Speeches were written for that. So you could be onto something there. There's Nietzsche for 10 Canadian. I believe the landing, but not that stopped going. U.S. got rid of shuttles without next tech ready. That's like getting rid of all fighter jets and saying we'll get new in 10 years. Agree 100%. Babe Cook for $9.99. Get this guy a new high-end computer. How about getting AJ a computer for the telecast and a computer for research? Babe Cook, you keep those $9.99s coming, and maybe we can get some new tech in here. Though I mean, the streaming computer it's kind of old. It's kind of old and janky. But with your support, we're going to be upgrading soon. You better not be breastfeeding. Creepy. There is Azure Sky. I'm looking at your avatar. I used to have a doll like that when I was a younger man. Wally Shearer gave my dad a moon rock from his last mission. They were Good Morning America in the 80s, had it tested. It's tech-tight with strange properties. I'll send you pics. It's very cool. I like to see that. Azure Sky. And I'd like to learn more about that doll of yours. Gino's signaling he'd like to comment on the doll as well.
I thought that moon rocks were illegal to have.
There's actually an ongoing lawsuit now where a woman had some moon dust that she bought at auction from the government, sent it to NASA to be tested, and they said, yeah, it's legit, and because it's legit, we're keeping it now.
Give me my money back.
Yeah, that's I don't know what the latest is with that lawsuit, but yeah, you can get moon rocks on the market. I think one just sold for like $1 million or something.
Tell Azure Sky to not to tell anyone their real name, because if they got a moon rock, that's valuable.
It's valuable. There's Mad Postal for $20. Explain to me how a 6-pound remote-controlled camera broadcasts a signal 230,000 miles back to Earth. My local news station needs a van with a 50-foot antenna to broadcast from downtown to the studio 7 miles away. You bring up good points, Mad Postal. Good points. I guess they were just really good at it. But remember, they destroyed the technology, and they can't figure out how they did it. Joshua Kelly for $5. And my personal astrophysicist said, not an exact quote, faking the moon landing would actually be more difficult than landing on the moon itself. But would it, though? What do you say?
Blah, blah, blah.
Gino says blah, blah, blah. And looks like heat stroke is finally set in over there.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. All right, there is... There it is, St. Peter for 50 Canadian.
Can't you see me swimming here? I got guppy payments up the wazoo. I just don't know what to do. I need a lawyer or two. Oh, human, please tip. Tip. Go ahead and tip. I need you to tip. Tip. Human, please tip. Whoa, whoa, who said that?
St. Peter, that was an excellent episode. I knew very little of what you covered, so it was wonderful for me. Glad to hear that, St. Peter. Great channel and getting better all the time. Was the 60K attendance a new record? It was. It was a new record. That's going to be a tough one to beat. I don't think we didn't hit 60 though, right? It was 59 and change. But the last record I think was 49,700. So we beat it by 10,000 or so tonight. It's pretty crazy. But next time we're going to do the premiere. We're going to do it at a drive-in here in Vegas, and then back to Victoria's house for an after party. And I'll be joining the party remotely via Zoom. Sean H, 999 favorite channel by far. Would you consider an episode about BlackRock supercomputer Aladdin? No. They built a town around it. Everyone who lived there, worked for BlackRock, was taking Prozac. Sus. Everything about BlackRock is sus, but I can't cover them on the channel. I don't know this for certain, Sean H., but I would believe that they're one of the most, if not the largest shareholder of Alphabet, aka Google, aka YouTube. It would be my guess.
I look for AKA on YouTube.
Hang on.
It isn't available or can't be played right now.
I see. Google won't play it. Christopher Jeremiah for 1999. Have they ever taken a telescope and zoomed in on all the stuff we left on the moon? I've looked for those photos. Google, do you mind if I finish the live stream?
Hey, kids at home, if you want to learn how to do a professional live stream, watch something else. This ain't it.
She keeps talking. Watch me lose my stuff. Chris, we have photos not from telescopes, but from craft in orbit, satellites in orbit. We have those photos. Page Wizard for $10. First, SC froze, but Super Chat froze, but donation went through. Laughy face. Okay, everyone, your thoughts. Why did all those high-ranking individuals, clergy and Buzz Aldrin, go to Antarctica? And what do you think he actually saw down there?
I don't know. I think his brain was scrambled from the radiation in the Van Allen belt.
The answer, Page Wiz, is his brain was scrambled from all the radiation from the Van Halen belts. Angie for 11 seconds for 14 Australia 99. Love the episode on simulation theory. I'm glad. That's one of my favorites too. I'm happy I joined this channel. Me too. Has anyone seen the film A Tear in the Sky? It is fascinating about UFOs. You see that one, Gina?
I haven't seen that one.
I'm going to look for that one. Appreciate the support, Angie. Glad you joined the community. And you guys should check out Discord. Discord's a lot of fun. A lot of weird folks on there, just like me. DT1876, great, well-researched episode as always. Do you believe extraordinary savants who excel in things like songwriting or science are able to tap into something the rest of us cannot? I do believe that, DT. I have an episode in mind about covering it. I want to be careful because because savants is a type of autism. And when you cover autism, you got to be so careful because they get a little uppity about doing it. So I have to do it respectfully, which of course I would. But I have something coming up on that. It's going to be in the same episode with hyperthymesia, which is people who can remember every single thing that happens to them since puberty to like every day, every moment of every day they can remember. There's Jonathan Dorick for $100.
I'm a fish and I'm a star. So put more dough in my jar. The type of vodka that I need is Belvedere.
Jonathan says, thank you, AJ.
I need to buy a tinfoil hat. So please click the super chat. We all know the government is listening.
Jonathan Dorick, $100. Thank you. I appreciate you, Sean. I appreciate the support, Jonathan. That really keeps things going. Really appreciate that. Sevens Requiem for $10. Great work in tonight's episode. Do you have links for the moon structure pictures used at the end of the video? Also, have you heard of the Archon alien conspiracy? Look up the Golden Web series on YouTube. I haven't heard of that. The moon structure pictures, I just Googled and scrolled. But there are some pictures of the moon that I'm aware of from memory. So I kind of knew which ones to grab. But just Google it. You'll find all kinds of crazy stuff. But thanks for the support. There is Jay Harris for $500. Whoa!
I'm a goldfish. In a steel bowl I swim. I wanted a tip. I wanted a tip.
Jars24 says, thanks for the entertainment. Well, thanks for the support, Jars. We could not do this without folks like you. I really appreciate your generosity from you and from everyone tonight. Really do. Kylo Charlie. Love the brain wrinkles. Perfect channel. Thanks, all. Yeah, I'm going to get some Botox, so you won't be able to see those in a couple of weeks. Jason Arthur for 1999. When are you going to go on Hot Wings and deal with the interview truths and hot sauce? What are you cheering about? What is he talking?
I would love that. I would love to see you on Hot Wings.
Is that where they eat the stuff that burns their face? Oh, I'm not going to do that.
I would love that.
No, I don't do talking to folks things.
There are some people that start to hallucinate because some of that stuff is so hot.
Yeah, why would anyone do that?
I don't know. I wouldn't do it, but I would love to see you on the show.
Yeah, but I wouldn't wear a silk nightgown, but I'd like to see her do it. There's DarkTube TV, $20 more. Hecklefish, keep up the vids, love them. Whenever he's DarkTube, if he's used too much, the comments they hate it. They hate it. And if he's used not enough, they hate it. There's, depending on the length of the episode, there's a formula where how much he participates. But I'm glad you enjoy, and there's Clear Adventure for 777. Gino, how did you meet Joe Rogan?
Oh, well, that's a good question. We met through a friend of ours called Sam Tripoli.
There you go. Met through a friend called Sam Tripoli. Did you want to expound upon that, or was that good enough?
He was doing a great podcast with Red Band, the producer of Joe Rogan's show. And while I was sponsoring some of those shows with one of our other businesses, I just wound up becoming friends with him, sitting on a lot of podcasts with him called the Ice House Chronicles, and then which led to us being on his show, number 807. Check it out.
Number 807, check it out. Anthony Michael, $100.
Whoa.
Yo, ooh la la, yo. Fish really needs some money. I need to buy some stuff. Fish really needs some money. YouTube don't pay enough. Fish really needs some money. So click the super chat. Like that.
Thank you, Anthony, Michael, and I apologize. Kenneth Saul for $5. Please explain the modern astronaut vids that said they were hopeful we get to the moon. Were those fake? You go ahead and explain that, Jennifer.
Well, it has to do with the radiation in the Van Allen belts.
All right, there she goes. There's Mr. Ray 81, $50.
I used to drive a Cadillac. Then I joined this stupid show. The human doesn't pay me much. I need a lot more dough. I need another Jacko. Tip the goldfish. Tip the goldfish. I need a Shacko. Tip the goldfish. Tip the goldfish.
It's all right. Clash, still a jam. Mr. Ray, 81, $50. First of all, I want to apologize because I've never missed a video, but I had to skip this one. It kind of hit home for me because my father was my biggest supporter for my love of science, and he recently began buying into this BS conspiracy. What do you think about that?
Gina?
Well, buying into it, you shouldn't be paying for any of it, bit of this. But, I guess.
Funny stuff.
It's okay to question everything. You shouldn't have a rip between you and your dad over it. Me and AJ don't agree on any of the stuff on the Y files.
This is entertainment. That's all. I just like the stories. So we don't try to convince you, Mr. Ray. Don't try to convince your dad. He's not going to convince you. You don't have to lose respect for each other. People just believe different things. In this chat right now on the stream, I bet it's 50-50 split who believes and who doesn't.
And having something that you guys don't agree on gives you a chance to roast each other while you're doing it. So it should bring you closer, not further away.
Patrick Aubrey for 5 Canadian. Video from the moon was like amateur radio show scan TV, but embedded into telemetry. Its bandwidth was not wider than radio. And is that how they got the signal back? In telemetry?
I've always wondered.
I don't know if you're right about that, Patrick, but you got my brain juicy. I had to look into that a little bit.
That's
got me thinking about
impossible.
something. BC999, so they know where the radiation is at least in the 60s, but we lost that info now? Help me out here, Jen and Gino.
I can't do it again.
Just explain how the Van Allen radiation belt works. Go ahead.
Okay. So, it's really intense radiation, but you'd have to be like in the midst of it all concentrated. And it's not. It's really spread out. And so they kind of like bobbed and weaved through the large spread out, and they went really fast. They got through it in like an hour. And so it was less radiation than an X-ray.
Wouldn't all their food be microwaved by the time they got there? They it's a 4-day trip.
Well, maybe they sent them with raw food, knowing that would happen. And then when they got there, it was like Thanksgiving dinner.
There you go.
Thanksgiving dinner.
All right.
It's
Thanksgiving
like when
dinner.
people
There's
put
the answer.
food on their engines on a road trip.
Paul, for $10, the strength of the Van Allen belts varies significantly based on solar flares. If a solar flare had happened while the astronauts were in the belts, they would have died. That's true. That was actually the biggest worry. The Van Allen belts were a concern, but the biggest fear was a solar flare because you detect that and you've got 8 minutes to figure it out. Mr. Wilson 68758 is back for $20. Sorry, but it must be said. Age is a great storyteller, but Hecklefish is the best. P.S. Jen is a babe, respectfully.
Well, thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Wilson!
Jazz hands!
Jeffrey, I apologize. Jeffrey Black for $20. The famous One Small Step footage is of Aldrin with Armstrong running the camera. The footage of Armstrong stepping down is from a camera on the lander and is partially obscured. There you go. That's how they got it. That's how they got it filmed. Random dude for $5 Australian. If the moon landings weren't faked, then what's up with Stanley Kubrick putting all the moon landing clues into his movies? Was he a troll? I can't. Random dude, I can't even think of a single clue about the moon landing that's in any of his movies. I honestly can't. The stuff from that
shirt.
The stuff from that documentary, like the Indian wall covering his rocket. I mean, I don't see any of it. But it's one of those things that if you start with the answer, you can come up with the questions. And I think that's what people are doing with the Kubrick stuff.
Well, it's like what people did with the Nostradamus predictions.
Right.
Like
you
a
start
thing
with,
happened.
And then you go back and fill it in.
Right.
But random dude could be right. We could be wrong about that. I would love to see a list of the moon landing clues in the movies, in all the movies. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be all of them. It would have to be after 60, right? It wouldn't be. It'd have to be after Strangelove. So it's in what? 2001? If he started already. Shining. Then he's got that movie that's
he very well could have been trying to troll people. But that doesn't mean that he actually filmed a fake moon landing. If there were rumors going about that he did it, he very well could have been trying to troll people. or not.
Skywalker J 499. Did you explain how the astronauts look like they were hanging from prop wires? Maybe I missed it. Love this episode. I didn't explain that because you kind of can't. Where people talk, people will say, well, they slowed down the footage. So if you speed up the footage, it looks like they're moving more natural. That's not true. They don't look more natural. But there are some ways that the astronauts get up that it looks like they're being yanked up by wires. It really does. Now, the official explanation is since it's only 1/6 gravity, they can just kind of push themselves up and they would just pop right back up. I don't know. Some of that footage is
even if you're doing that and the dexterity is enough to do that, they're just landing straight on their feet. It's fine. It's just nice and soft just because of the gravity. Doesn't make
it's
sense.
fine, but the counterpoint would be if they were on wires, they wouldn't have fallen down so much because we don't see a lot of that footage. But these guys could barely stay on their feet. Cheapest big sender for $5. Operation Paperclip scientists were either not that smart or paid off by the Russians. Moon landing took place in a hangar at Area 51.
By the way, I got to go back.
Doctors. We're gonna march forward and go ahead and get your thought out there, and then we're gonna get the moon landing right.
The wires were used to pick them up because they were so heavy in those suits, not because they were always on the wires. They were just so heavy in the suits they had to have the wires. But when they were upright, they weren't being held by the wires. They were actually doing it themselves. The wires were just because they would have been so heavy in that suit they couldn't have gotten up.
There you go. There's the answer. Southern and NC family for $10. It doesn't matter if we actually went or not. It worked. It was a government program that worked. I'll take that, George W. LOL. Great work. Wi-Fi's telling kids to go to bed now. LOL. You kids go to bed. You get Mr. Fish for $20. Fantastic show. One of my favorite channels. Ready for the Moonbase episode. That's coming. And J2J, $100 once more. Rush.
Goldfish lives in style, but you haven't tipped in quite a while. My money is all spent. You haven't tipped a cent. I gotta pay my rent, or I'll be living in a tent in Portland.
There you go, J2J. I appreciate the support. That way we don't have to end up in a tent in Portland. Although I wouldn't even want to be in a hotel room in Portland. Garnet Hagee for $5. Just bought a Hecklefish shirt. Love your channel. Thanks, AJ Hecklefish. You guys are awesome. Appreciate the support, Garnet. Garnet doesn't even need sleeves. That's how hot he is. I was too hot for sleeves. Dave Days, $10. Where's the best place to start if I want to get into the time travel business? Is that my stomach?
Yes.
I don't know, Dave Days. I don't know what the right answer is, but if you figure it out, do me a favor, go back into the past and let me know how to answer this question. That's how we'll know that you got it to work. Mystic Bullet for $10. There were satellites NASA sent to record the radiation belt and realized that there are pockets in the belt that have no radiation discovered by Explorer 3 and other satellites. By the way, love the videos. Jennifer, you may want to remember that for the next time someone asks about the Van Allen radiation belts.
Right.
Bong's Pips for $2. Kubrick's brother was the head of the American Communist Party. What? He was not. He was not the head of that party or any other because Stanley Kubrick did not have a brother.
That you know
of. That we know of. He may have. Brian McCann for $5. The Wi-Fi's neither confirms nor denies the stories. That is correct. Neither confirm nor deny. And that's going to do it. I thank everyone for coming out tonight. I really appreciate the support. It really helps keep things going. There's Victoria. Thanks so much, Victoria. There she goes. And Gino, thank you for Gino's Story Hour. It was great stories always. And Jennifer, thank you so much for your help tonight. And thank you to everyone for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. I would read the chat for you now. I wish you could see what I'm looking at. The computer is so jacked up. And everything is just huge. There's Quantum Mechanic, Not Jay Leno, Leo, Timmy Q, Aaron Chapman, Jake Best. I see one name at a time. Sherry Ann, there you are, and there you're gone. There's Paul, gone. Something about Gino. Anyway, thanks again for the support. We couldn't do this without you guys. And we'll see you next week. And Hecklefish will see you out.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I swam down each and every highway, and more, much more than this. I did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried. I've had my fill, my share of losing. And now, as tears subside, I find it all, it's all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a fish? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. Our record shows I took the blows and did it my way. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Let's hear it for the Wild Miles House Band. You guys sounded great tonight. And take care of those waitresses, will you? All right. Everybody get home safe. This is Hecklefish. And you know what? I did it my